Hey, what's up guys? UrAvgWarGamer is back with another video for the warships, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at steel ships and making a tier list specifically for random battles in 2026. So I have over 21 steel ships, all the steel ships that we currently have in the armory, and I thought I will give you the reasons why they are particularly strong. In fact, some of them are broken for what they do. And I will cover submarines, I will cover aircraft carriers, and all ship classes. So watch the video till the end. I will put the chapters for each specific ship so you cannot miss anything. You can go and check out your particular favorite ship and you can understand what this ship is capable of for random battles. Okay, this not going to apply for ranked, and for the ranked battles tier list I will make another video. So watch this video as well, and if you want to get a good random battle steel ship, that's where I will explain why they are so good. So from S tier broken all the way to D tier. So if you want to know how good I am as a player, not bragging the stats, I just want to tell you that I've been playing this game for over 8 years. In fact, it's coming closer to 9 years, and I've been playing this game pretty decent. I used to be very noob. I used to be very bad in this game. I mean, you can go and check out the stats of Bismarck, Bayern, Frederick de Gross. I used to be terrible player, I really love German ships, okay? But then I just improved my gameplay, and now, because of this, I will help you to explain what these steel ships are capable of. You can even check out the ranked battles, for example, okay? Which you can see right there. So you can have a full confidence that what I'm about to explain is going to be pretty much right for that particular ship. And obviously that's going to be my experience, some of it going to be my bias, but you should be understanding what this ship is capable of from my video. So let's talk about it. By the way, if you are new to the channel and have not subscribed, be sure to hit a like, subscribe if you find this video useful, because I make daily World of Warship videos and I always try to come up with a very good content that's going to be beneficial for you for long term. Now this is completely optional, but if you are an older viewer, you can go and check out my Patreon and you can subscribe to even $1 per month, because you will basically support me during this, I would say, a bit complicated time, because I have gotten some debt and I have to repay it. So if you can help me financially, if you felt like it, you can subscribe to any of these tiers and I will really appreciate, and you can really be joining my Discord for maybe getting some personal benefits from me. So I will help you more to achieve in the game like I did. Alright, so let's start talking about it. And our first steel ship is going to be actually the very, I would say, newest steel ships among in 2026, and that is going to be the Amiral Lartigue, the French hybrid cruiser, or you can say super cruiser. So how do I rate it? Well, honestly, for randoms specifically, well, I will rate it to be the B tier. Okay, now if you ask me that what sort of rating that I will do for this cruiser, then I might rate it A tier for ranked battles, and I will explain the reason. So as you can see, we are in the port, and the reason why Amiral Lartigue is a very good cruiser, because it does have really good guns. You want to get really good AP, and you also want to get very good dispersion, cruiser dispersion. In fact, on these 330mm guns with decent reload time of 14.1 seconds with the reload mod, you basically get it. Okay, you have 6 guns on front, so you can stay sort of bow in. Okay, but there are a couple of problems. Okay, even though you have amazing accuracy, right, you have only 6 guns, and well, your reload time is not that good enough that it basically pumps out so much HE-DPM, but your AP-DPM is very good. So on broadside battleships, you can do pretty good damage. On broadside cruisers, you will devastate them. They are extremely hard against cruisers. They just hit hard. Their accuracy is just amazing. The shell velocity is really good. The fire chance is actually good for HE shells, 35%. But again, since you have only less guns, and that's sort of the problem with the Lartigues, that you can't have that really high DPM. But these are heavy cruiser guns, so I no, I'm not going to complain. But the complaint that I have, and what really makes it sort of limited in random battles, is because of this armor. Okay, now armor layout is not bad. You have actually some interesting armor layout. You can see this is 32mm. This is not going to get overmatched unless you are fighting Yamatos, Shikishimas, Satsuma, that tend to overmatch your 32mm plating. But the problem is that you are such a big ship, and if any random Yamato, Satsuma happens to shoot you, you will take huge damage. And then the problem comes again with this part of armor, because that is 30mm. You now will be overmatched by Vermont's 457mm. So you are not a very tanky ship. Now you have to really choose a target. If you want to like open water, taking on battleship, you need to really know which battleship am I capable of fighting. If you are fighting Satsuma or the Yamato, you are going to take huge damage. He will do more damage, you can do less damage, even if you are shooting HE. If he's broadsiding, you can do really well. AP actually can citadel around 10-12 kilometers. It has really good penetration, I will show you that. But yeah, your engagement should be very limited, or you have to maybe use islands, because your your gun layout is really good for that. Okay, and well, there is another very powerful capability which again is great, but not so great in randoms. Okay, so you can see we have the aircraft. Okay, we have the planes that are skip bombers. So they basically bounce onto the water and they jump and get to the target, hit and only do 9.6k damage, and you have like 6 bombs in this attacking flight. The planes are fast. Okay, they reload almost 3 minutes later. Every 3 minutes you will have these planes, and you can spot ships, which is again a very, very good advantage. But the problem is, if there is already a carrier, okay, if there's already a hybrid, which you will find more in randoms, the value of planes and its spotting will be less, but it is still very good. But in ranked battles, this will be huge, because there will be very less hybrids. There's going to be like little to no hybrids. Maybe there might be a Louisiana. There might be Aki, those are the hybrid battleships, okay? Then you are in Lartigue. So there might be a chance that they have the hybrid, but if you bring in the ranked battles this hybrid and spot DD, okay? This is so goddamn powerful. In the randoms, it's gonna do really well, but in the ranked, it's just gonna kill that DD, because everyone will be focusing on DD. So ranked battles, it will have more value, okay? And the problem is that the HE bombs, they are not so super good. They're okay, they set fires, and you can then set permanent fires. That's how these skip bombers are very useful for. So you do some damage, and then, I mean, it's very difficult to drop on DDs. They are not particularly good. They are particularly good on heavy cruisers and battleships, and that's what you can focus, and you can spot DDs with them. So they are pretty good for that. But the great part of the Lartigue, that you, even though have sort of a weakness in the armor, you do have also, by the way, 25mm. So if you are fully bowing very close, yeah, battleship know your weakness, you're gonna get punished extremely hard. Okay, you do have the side plating, but again, your vulnerable armor citadel, this take a lot of damage. Okay, so citadel does exist, and that's where you have to be very angled. Okay, but this angling will help. Okay, as you can see, you have 90mm deck. Sorry, 90mm side armor, and then you have 190mm armor belt casemate armor. So you will be angled enough and do well. Your torpedo protection is great. 72k HP is really good. So you have to really precisely find out the situation, and positioning is the key. And you can make this ship with the guns amazing. It's really good. I'm not gonna say very strong, but it's a very it's a very good ship. Okay, if you like high hard hitting damage, cruiser punchy guns, okay, that's what it is capable of. The concealment is decent, and then the gimmick, which I would say is the most unique of all, okay, is that you have the planes, but you also have one more thing, which is the patrol fighters. Okay, now this actually has gotten buffed, okay, in a way that you can remotely, around any side of the minimap, protect your teammate, and you are basically very powerful in defending your teammate against an enemy aircraft carrier or against an enemy planes, because you can just launch them. You basically press the M map, you basically deploy that fighter on anything. You can even deploy it on yourself, and they have 8 number of fighters, okay, and its action time is 100 seconds, so it's going to be more than a minute. Okay, so yeah, you will you will be doing great. Okay, the consumables are 8 of them, so you can just launch a lot of these patrol fighters once you have these planes launched, HE bombers. So this is a very good defensive tool against aircraft carrier, which makes it unique. And you have the speed boost, which is again very typical of French ships. So you will have the speed more than 40 knots once you have popped the speed boost. So that makes Lartigue very fast. Okay, but you might want to particularly use the aircraft's modification 3 because you want to increase the squadron HP, so you can tank, anti-air, and drop a lot of bombs onto a target. So this gimmick is really good. Okay, but in randoms, the value of this patrol fighter is definitely great, but it is less than ranked. Imagine there's a CV, okay, and you can literally protect your teammate with the help of patrol fighters. Imagine you can do this in rank to like using a ship, deploying patrol fighter from the ship is extremely unique, okay, and you can defend that guy against an aircraft carrier is a huge thing if there is enemy CV in the first place. But it is something that is cool, and you can actually also again use and spot, which I have explained before that it is really good. So overall, because of these strengths, these weaknesses, you ask yourself, is Amiral Lartigue is useful? I think it's a great ship, but in randoms, I'm going to be putting it at B tier. It's good, it can be excellent, but I think on 6 versus 6 ships, the lesser ships, the more utility the spotting will get, and you will be doing more damage with the guns, especially on cruisers. Yes, by the way, you can overmatch light cruisers. Okay, you have 330mm guns, which is again another really good thing, and you don't have a hydro. Okay, I showed you the speed boost, but it does not have a hydro. So ask yourself, it's going to be a bit difficult against DDs, but you can spot the DDs with the planes. So yeah, armor is the only reason. If the armor will be better, okay, if it does have tanky armor, if it does have maybe 38mm deck, or like the plating 30mm instead of 30mm plating, which I will show you again. Instead of these 30mm, if you have like better, maybe 32mm, if you have this area that is not very vulnerable by HE spam, because it's gonna take huge damage. It's very easy, it's a very lightly armored area. If not for these things, I'm gonna rate it higher, but for now it's B tier. It's a good ship. And also, if you looking to know the accuracy of the Lartigue, you can really compare it with the Moskva. Moskva has cruiser dispersion, and you can see how vertical dispersion is the same, 2.05 sigma. And if you take a look at the AP shells, you will see that it does have way better penetration than Moskva, 467mm, and it's very close to the Petro, but it does not have those ricochet angles. So yeah, that makes it very spicy even against battleships, and especially the cruisers, they're gonna get smashed really hard. So for me, it's B tier good, and I will maybe recommend it. Especially for ranked, I might recommend it more, but for the randoms, I will just maybe say that there are many other options. Alright, so the next ship will be a submarine. Okay, so that is going to be the tier 10 American Archerfish. And honestly, I used to rate this to be broken, S tier, but UrAvgWarGamer has released some newer submarines, which when I look at them, I just like, okay, there can be more power to the submarines than the Archerfish itself. So by looking at maybe the I-5644 that has like 25,000 torpedo damage, and that basically dev strike battleships and cruisers if you basically use those homing tops. And then there's an airstrike submarine. I think its name is Tonjin. When I look at those, then I really realize that UrAvgWarGamer can make more broken ships, and well, Archerfish is not exactly to those levels. So I still will rate it almost borderline overpowered, but I would say for most players it's going to be A tier, excellent submarine. Regardless, it's definitely a nightmare, especially if you are a battleship or cruiser, and I will explain why it is the case. So as you can see, this is the Archerfish, and the reason why I rate it excellent is survivability. Its survivability can go absolutely crazy. You have 3 heals, and each heal will give you almost 5,000 HP per pop. You have 3 heals, 5,000 HP per heal. you're getting 15,000 extra HP. So that can go around 30, 35, 36k. So you can already see the survivability is just completely cracked. Probably the highest HP of all of all submarines, if we just account in the repair party. And then if that's not enough, it has the highest amount of DCPs for a submarine. It has like 6 DCPs. So you can really, if you're finding yourself in a tricky situation where you have to force DCP, you have a lot of DCPs to run. And you have 6 of them, which is like really, really good. And the action time is 15 seconds, okay? Which again, really help. Because there might be airstrike coming again and coming again after you use the DCP. But 15 seconds is going to be enough, okay? To help you to not getting, I would say, perma-flooded or something like that. And you can even use DCP mod 1, which you can really put the action time to around 20 plus seconds, which is completely crazy. 15 seconds, you can increase it even further. Absolutely ridiculous with the heals. Your survivability is just top notch. Remember that the submarines get the built-in French saturation mechanics, so they take less damage once they are started to take damage. Okay, so yeah, it's just gonna be super duper tanky submarine. And then if that's not enough, you have the speed boost, 15% speed boost, and your speed is already 34.7 knots base, and you have 15% speed boost. And if you take account one more thing, which is this one, okay, enlarged propeller shaft, that is basically increasing the submarine speed 18%. So once your dive capacity is less than 50%, this will trigger, and you can abuse this, and you can get 18% increase speed. Your submarine can go up to, I think, 45 knots, 45 freaking knots with half the battery and with the speed boost active. Now imagine you are basically trying to push from one flank to other, how easy it's gonna be, and how easy it's gonna be to take on a battleship. And you have amazing tools to take on battleship and a cruiser. So you have the homing tops. So again, these are the very nightmare thing that I really hate about subs, that the moment you basically ping a battleship, it's going to be very difficult, right? You might DCP at first, and he might not even send the torpedoes at all, because you might fear that the tops that he sent coming onto your way. But he might not have sent tops. He can just really bluff with the ping, and that a good submarine player sometimes can do. Basically, people use like DCP like crazy, and then he can send the tops, and you have a lot of them. You have 6 tops on front, 4 tops on the back, and they have a very good reload time. They load very quickly. They have two number of loaders, so every I would say 34 seconds you will have 2 torpedoes loaded up. And if that's not enough, okay, you have the alternate tops. And the reason why they have given alternate tops is sometimes you do not want to ping at very close ranges, okay? You want to make sure that you become sneaky destroyer in a submarine hull. And what you do, you basically send these tops around 6 kilometer, and you basically dev strike a battleship. You have 16k damage worth of torpedo damage, okay? You have homing tops, they are almost 10,000 damage, and you throw 6 of these torpedoes. Imagine how much damage that they will do. And then you can also send 4 torpedoes, and yeah, you can just keep doing it over and over again. You have a lot of HP, you have a lot of DCPs, you have insane speed, you have reserve battery unit. I mean, what the hell is that? It has every tool to deal against a very complicated situations, okay? The only problem with the Archerfish is that it does not have the eyes. And if you notice why I'm saying this, you don't have the hydrophone, okay? This is the biggest part that they have given Archerfish as a weakness. You don't have the hydrophone, so you basically don't know if the DD is very close to you or not, because hydrophone basically tells you if the DD is within your vicinity, within your range. So you basically kinda have a very invisible sort of radar, okay? That gives you the location of ships. Not necessarily spot them, but you don't have a hydro. So that is the biggest downside, but for that they have given a lot of heals and survivability. And if that's not enough, they have given the F key, okay? And what that does, that it will reduce the torpedo reload time by minus 17.5% and the consumable preparation and reload time by minus 20%. So yeah, all of these consumables will load up quickly. And how you can trigger, it's a very simple thing. If you get 2 torpedo hits which again, honestly, is not too difficult. You will get the F key automatically running, and it will give you that benefits. And even if you just take one ASW strike and dodge that ASW strike, which means that you receive potential damage, which again you will see receive 1500 HP worth of potential damage. Even if you receive that much, that's 50% of your activation or the F key loaded. So you can imagine how easy it is to trigger. Very freaking easy. Alternate tops for sneakiness at close ranges so that you don't ping and they don't send the ASW strikes, and then you have the homing. 10.5 kilometer range, which is again very plenty, and it's going to be nightmare if you are outside 8 kilometer of cruisers, right? So cruisers have ASW strike of 8 kilometer, you have 10.5 range, so very easy to home on them, and they can't do jack shit unless they can shoot you and you are at the periscope depth. And well, if they keep blind firing you, there's a chance that you get hit, but you have a lot of DCPs for that, you have a lot of heals for that, so you are extremely offensive and extremely defensive as well without the hydrophone eyes. So because of this, it definitely is not, I would say, broken. If it does have a hydrophone, then it would be completely different, absolutely broken nightmare to deal with, because then you have the eyes. Just like I said, no hydrophone, you have to spot the ships by coming out. Maybe sometimes you have to be in the surface and the DD might be like super close because you don't know if there's a DD coming towards you or not. So that is something that you have to really manage. But also to note that it has one of the worst underwater maneuvering speeds. So it's not going to be very good in underwater. If you are in the maximum depth, you will be very slow as hell. Okay, your dive capacity is excellent. It's 352 units. That is a lot of time. Okay, and you can abuse this skill. So you just stay below 50% of the total battery, and you can abuse this 18%, and with the speed boost, right? Yeah, this is 46 knots submarine, basically moving here and there. Imagine how difficult to drop ASW strike, and maybe just understanding where the sub is really coming, where the submarine pinging, right? You cannot really precisely drop the ASW strikes on a 46 knot of sub. You can't. It's ridiculously difficult. Okay, unless someone maybe use the submarine surveillance, which you do have 6 kilometer. Okay, and well, it is gonna do the same thing. It's not 9 kilometer or 8 kilometer, but it is still very valuable. So ask yourself, you want to get a very offensive sort of thing, and also like very good in defensive sort of thing. Okay, with these sort of consumables and with the F key. And also with the gun, you have the gun, by the way, and you can actually use the gun. It does have a SAP DPM, very low, but you can take down destroyers sometimes. So it is still very valuable, okay? These are not automatically fired. You can shoot them, and you can get some value from this artillery. So this is a very powerful package, total package, if you like homing tops, and if you even like some sneakiness alternate tops. The combination of this offensiveness and defensiveness makes it absolutely insane. And if not for the newer ships, and if not for the lack of hydrophone, it will be a broken ship, in my opinion. I always say it used to be broken, but then I look at the new ships and I look at the new submarines, and well, yeah, Wargaming is like, we're going to be adding something like that more powerful in future. So yeah, it's kind of like the power creep of their own steel ship that they touting it to be pretty absurd, right? It is kind of absolutely crazy to think like this. Okay, so the next steel ship is going to be the Soviet Komissar, the Tier 10 hybrid, another hybrid cruiser. And well, compared to the Lartigue, I'm gonna rate it maybe A tier. But there's a problem. If you are not a good player of submarines, okay, then this can go a bit more complicated because it does have some big sort of weaknesses. Your firepower is absurd. It is really, really good. It's actually better than Lartigue, believe it or not. Lartigue is good with cruiser dispersion, but you then get like 12 guns, okay? And just because of the defensive problems, weaknesses that it does have, and if you cannot really mitigate those weaknesses, it might go to the C tier. But I personally will rate it A tier. Let me just explain why I'm talking about its defensive side a bit weaker even than the Lartigue itself, but the offensive is like really, really good, better than Lartigue. Let me talk about it. So this is the Komissar, and well, its firepower is absolutely devastating. You have 355 KAPDPM. You have 188,000 HEDPM. That is significantly better than the 122,000 HEDPM compared to the Lartigue. So yeah, you in Komissar will be setting crazy amount of damage, fires, and even you have improved pen angles. You have really good AP, which I will explain. But let's talk about the HE and why you have 12 guns that just do really good thing. Okay, you have 3.4k alpha, and that you can compare it with Zao. You literally throw really good shell velocity shells with Zao alpha, 3.4k alpha, 20% fire chance, again kind of like the Zao, but you have 40 millimeter HE penetration. 40 millimeter HE penetration is a significant threshold because you can penetrate the decks of Sibir, you can penetrate the decks of Petro and Napoli, so some of the tankiest cruisers can take full HE pen damage, and if that's not enough, you can still set crazy amount of fires, and you have a cruiser dispersion just like the Lartigue, but you have 12 guns for that. And if HE DPM is not so good and shiny, you have AP that is disgusting. Let me just show you in the ship tool.st. So if you can take a look at the Komissar, and I have added it alongside with 3 other ships like the Lartigue, Moskva and Petro. Let me just show you the dispersion capabilities. Okay, you can see it's basically the same thing as the Moskva, as the Lartigue. Cruiser dispersion 2.05 sigma, but where it shines is basically that you have improved pen angles like that of Petro. As you can see, this is absolutely amazing. 12 guns, improved pen angles, 40 millimeter penetration, and then on top of that you have better penetration than Moskva, 362 millimeter at 12 kilometers. Komissar has 391 millimeter, which means that it is extra powerful against heavy cruisers, and especially with these ricochet angles, yeah, you're gonna be clap those cruisers hard with this AP alpha of 6.2k. So yeah, better shells than Moskva, improved penetration angles, 40 millimeter HE pen. I mean, you get every single thing in terms of offensive capabilities, and you have a lot of HE DPM. Basically, the highest compared to all the ships, even better than Moskva, believe it or not. So in terms of offensiveness, it's actually a better ship than Lartigue, and maybe you can say Moskva, but in defensive, it's where it will lack a lot of things. And the reason why I'm saying this, let me just show you the armor layout. You have 30 millimeter deck, so it's basically not like Moskva at all. It's not 40 millimeter, which is like significant. If that would have 40 millimeter deck inside, that would be absolutely crazy. Then it becomes actually overpowered, but it isn't. And 30 millimeter deck inside means that you are very vulnerable to get overmatched, and your HP is not also that much. It's 46,000, which is decent, but again, you still tend to take a lot of damage. And if you do mistakes, and that's where it's gonna be either very good, or either it's gonna be go very weak for you. And it's really depending upon how you can mitigate this citadel. This is a citadel that the Komissar has with only 115 millimeter citadel armor side plating. Like, this citadel armor is only 115 millimeter, and yeah, it's a big one, which you can see very vulnerable. If any battleship shoots at the bow, you're going to get smashed. This is the biggest problem. This will be really painful if you broadside and someone can depth strike you, because I have gotten sometimes depth strike because I was not careful and I just did an angle. Okay, it's not having anything like, you know, the Petro armor, you know, all those shenanigans that basically protect this armor plating even further. It's not like there's no black hole armor, there's not, I would say, space armor. It's basically plain armor that will take a lot of damage. It's kind of like the Minotaur in terms of getting citadels. It is as bad as Minotaur almost. So yeah, ask yourself, can you mitigate this? If you can mitigate this, Komissar is just amazing. The guns will be the best in terms of doing great job, and then you have the good concealment, you have great speed, 37.3 knots. Yes, this is gonna really make your life hard. 1070 meter turning circle. Yeah, that's the problem. If you turn out on broadside, you will be broadsiding for a very long time. This is the weakness that they make as a combo. Rudder shift is not good. Turning circle is not good. So yeah, ask yourself, can you mitigate this weakness? If you can, this is amazing cruiser. But that's the problem. You cannot tank battleship that can overmatch you. So ask yourself, can you mitigate that issue as well? Which I would say you can't. But then there's also another gimmick. It does have planes. It's a hybrid. And again, just like the Lartigue, it will be more valuable in the ranked. In fact, these are Nakhimov planes. You have tier 10 Nakhimov planes dealing 4050 damage and also having 40mm HE penetration with 22% fire chance. So yeah, you will be smashing battleships. You will be doing more than 10k very easy with setting fires, and then you can set permanent fires with your HE DPM that is over 180,000. So yeah, Komissar is a very good damage farmer, provided if you can mitigate this, and you can mitigate this stack on side. And you know, you have to choose the targets wisely, and then at close ranges you will suck because you have 25mm bow and stun. So yeah, you can't play close ranges at all. It's a very kiting ship. It's a very passive sort of ship, and for this passiveness and this kiting thing, they have given a lot of heals. The survivability doesn't come up with the armor layout. It does come up with some extra heals. You have 5 heals instead of 4, and you have a hydro, which again is a very good thing. And you also have a defensive fire, which is again a bit of a unique thing. You have a defensive fire that you find typically on American ships. So there are some DDs like the Gearing. There are some DDs that have 100% continuous AA damage. You have in Komissar 100% continuous AA damage instead of 50%. So you will be slightly better against aircraft carriers, I would say. But again, if the aircraft carrier want to hurt you, drop you, they will do a lot, especially the Shinano. Yeah, Shinano will just eat you alive because your Citadel is big and it will bounce those AP skip bombs. So you gotta be careful from Shinano. But you can just do really well with the rockets. Randoms, it's gonna be really good, okay? In the ranked, it's gonna be even better. And I will say, compared to the Lartigue, I will rate Komissar better. And that's totally upon you, if you can mitigate this armor. Because again, time and time again, there are a lot of players complained about this. And they like the guns, but they get very disappointed upon upon looking at the armor and upon just taking a lot of Citadel damage. So ask yourself, can you mitigate this? Again, I'm asking. If you can, it's great. And then the rockets are great. Spotting is great. You can spot DDs. You have a hydro now. So that's another extra bonus because Lartigue does not have a hydro. You have a hydro. So that's very good. And you have torpedoes that are 10 km of range, and as you have 11.5 km detection, you can actually make them pretty much usable in kiting, and especially if you might be able to get into a tricky brawling situation, you still have something, and that does 15,000 damage worth of tops. You have 3 tops, so they are actually useful more than you see right now, okay? And with this, hybrid capabilities and overall the gun performance, definitely better than the Lartigue, but its armor is gonna be a big question mark. And yeah, even then, because I just able to speed juke the shells and I mitigate that problem, I will rate it 8 here. It's an excellent cruiser, but it's not gonna be for everyone. Lartigue might be more better if you are not a good player, if you are maybe above average, but if you are not so good player at all and you will struggle in cruisers, this will be very more struggling than even Lartigue. Armor is the big problem. But for me, it's an excellent cruiser. Okay, now let's talk about another ship, a light cruiser this time. Both of these are heavy cruisers, but this is not a hybrid. This is Austin. And in 2026, how Austin will perform. And well, I would say Austin is good. Well, some people might rate it excellent because its DPM is really good with your load booster. Let me just explain what I believe about the Austin. So Austin is also kind of in the same boat as the Komissar, and the reason is pretty simple. The armor is something that you have to really check on. Citadel is very vulnerable. You do have a very unique plating, which is 32mm, which you can actually abuse, which I will explain that it is very beneficial for this cruiser, but then overall your armor is still not tanky. But the Austin is about fun. and in the randoms, I have a lot of fun. Honestly, it's really good in those situations where you have the reload booster ready and you have minus 7.5% main battery reload time. It is really good once you throw those sap shells. So if you take a look at the guns are really interesting. Okay, you have 216,000 HE which again is really decent. Okay, and you have a good shell velocity for 127mm gun. So the shell velocity is great actually for the lower caliber. So these are not gearing guns, and your sap actually do really wonders. And then if you are using the reload booster, then your DPM gets just crazy. And yeah, this is a cruiser which is about more fun, and that's why I like it a lot. But it is something that most players might struggle because of its armor, and especially if there are CVs that can maybe spot you here and there and someone shoots you like these Shikishimas, Satsumas, right? You're gonna be taking massive L. And the reason why it is that you have 32mm Citadel deck armor that can be overmatched. So even two Yamato shells, okay, two Yamato shells, they just nuke your entire HP, which is only 35,000. In this case, I have slightly more because I'm using the UrAvgWarGamer improved survivability expert. So this ship can just burst anything down. If there is broadside battleship, you burst, and basically in 15 seconds, because if I'm not wrong, this is a 15-second worth of reload booster. With that, your DPM just get to, I think, almost a million sap DPM. HE DPM gets also pretty insane. You will actually set permanent fires. So if you set a fire in a normal state, he DCPs, then you use the reload booster. When he got angled, then you basically can set 2-3 fires very easily, especially if he does not have a fire prevention. Again, really the Austin strength lies on the main battery reload booster, and then it does also have good anti-defense. So I mean, if you don't like carriers and you want to have some sort of defensive tool with defensive fire, Austin actually can protect itself well. It is definitely shooting down quite some planes. So it's not gonna be like the best of the best in terms of anti-defense, but it is certainly one of the best. I'm not gonna lie, you will going to do some good denting on planes against CVs. And then you have 5 heals, like the Komissar, the same thing. You have 5 heals, and I haven't even talked about that the Komissar get the improved 40 seconds cooldown time. Okay, I just literally forgot that factor, but hey, if someone wants to buy a Komissar, it's basically for the guns. So Austin is also really good for the guns. So if you want to have this DPM in a short time, if you can just have this gameplay where you want to like position yourself correctly, find out the, I would say, the golden opportunity, and you want to burst down something, Austin is gonna be kind of like this assassin. It's like the light cruiser sniper that you basically just always wait for the opportunity. You don't shoot or do anything. You just wait. You basically watch, and if you want to hunt someone, you hunt it with this. And just make sure that whenever you have the reload booster, you just use because you have infinite. It's very good for that. Okay, and this is gonna help you a lot, making this ship even better, because your DPM overall is average. There are cruisers that have more DPM. A lot of light cruisers just gonna be super easy in just doing more damage over time without the reload booster than the Austin. So ask yourself, can you use this gimmick consistently, quickly, and once the cooldown time gets over, you get this loaded, you just spam it. Find out the golden opportunities. Austin is for you. You have torpedoes, which are 10 of them, and they hit hard, and they are very good, and they are better than the Komissar. And just like I said, anti-defense is good, concealment is really good. The best part of the Austin, that you can spot any cruiser, be it like the Svea. Svea is basically almost close to concealment. You can spot your light cruiser. You will be spotting basically all the cruisers. Your speed is great enough, and that's why Austin is very good. You have a good fire chance at 11%. You have great alpha on the HE shells, and the SAP obviously does crazy good. I mean, you can go and check out the videos. Austin is really good. Okay, and I have talked about how this armor can be a nightmare against Yamatos. And if you open water Yamatos, this one will nuke you. You will be getting Citadel. Does not matter the angle, and that's where you have to be protecting yourself. Yamatos Hanovers, Shikishimas, Incomparables, they are your nightmare, and open watering against them can be very much of a death sentence. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you can abuse this uplating. Okay, so if there are no Yamatos, there are Vermonts, there are Conquerors, there are Thunderers, they shoot AP at you, thinking that they can overmatch you. Well, to the surprise of theirs, you will basically bounce the shells. So you basically can bait your armor and make them look stupid. Okay, because this is a game mechanic and you get some advantage. So use this one and it will be very nice. Okay, and that's why Austin is a great ship. Not for everyone, but the spam, the burst that you can get, I just love it. And that's why, for me personally, I'm not gonna rate it excellent. Maybe I can rate it, maybe excellent, but I still doubt that. I'm not a big fan of Austin, okay? Because it does not have a radar, okay? If it does have a radar, then it might get to even this category. I will rate it here 100% if it does have a radar, but it doesn't. So yeah, this utility that American cruisers tend to get, Austin not getting it kinda sucks, but the gimmick is great, okay? And if you use it, it can just take you there 100%. Okay, for me it's a B tier. It's a good ship, but I will rate it slightly less than Komissar. I might even rate it in the middle of A B tier. So if there is A minus tier, I might rate the Austin above here. I'm gonna be rating the Austin slightly above the Lartigue for sure, definitely. Okay, so I might rate it like this. Okay, that's how I think that the Austin will be in my tier list. All right, so the next ship is going to be the A.Da.Barbiano, okay, and that's the Italian kind of a light cruiser in a destroyer hull. And honestly, I played that ship, and this ship probably gonna go to the A tier, specifically for randoms. Okay, Austin is also fun, don't get me wrong. That reload booster is hilarious, it's great, but you are still a cruiser, you don't have a smoke. Okay, if you get punished, you might die in this. Okay, this is the factor that makes the Austin for me B tier, even though it's really fun. For the fun aspect, I might put it A tier, but for the weaknesses and as a light cruiser, and yet you can take a lot of damage. If you screw up, you will be in pain. But the Barbiano is a completely different thing. You have a smoke to disengage, which is really good, and then you have a ridiculous amount of SAP DPM permanently applied onto you. So if you ask me how would I rate Barbiano, I'm gonna rate Barbiano to be pretty low. Okay, I might put it average, maybe average for the ranked. It's not good at all. It's actually bad because it's more of a damage farmer. It's more of a ship that you want to get fun from. It's not necessarily that gives you carry hard games. It's not like that. So just think of Barbiano to be just absolute fun. The most fun, the most unique experience that if you want to get in Barbiano, you will get it. And let's start talking about why. You have SAP DPM that is over 765 freaking thousand. You have a range of 13.7 kilometer with the captain scales, and you throw barrage of SAP shells. Okay, the problem is that even though you have a lot of DPM, and you might be thinking, well, I can take on DDs, and that's where you are wrong. Because that's where the limitations start. You get stupid offensive capabilities without you setting fires. That's obviously going to be the case because you are using SAP. But the problem is you have 8 kilometers of concealment. If you're fully building it for concealment, and that's still 8 kilometers. And well, you will be outspotted by basically all the DDs. And the problem is, if you don't get the eyes, and if you don't catch the DD off guard, he can keep spotting you, and you are so, I would say, so immaneuverable. Because if you take a look at the maneuverability, it's just not good. This is a light cruiser maneuverability on a destroyer hull, but you are kind of have the light cruiser DPM with destroyer hull, which is stupidly crazy, right? You don't have a citadel, which basically makes it more tankier than Austin in many ways. Right? This is one of the reasons why I can't rate the Austin in the random battles excellent. It's very good, but not excellent. But the Barbiano, excellent. Because you will be doing the Dakka like crazy, but you will be doing many times as much as you want at any given point of time. Okay, Austin has the limitation of the reload booster. It has to wait. Barbiano does not need to wait. If you find out any battleship, okay, you find out a battleship You smoke up, provided that he is perma-spotted by something, which I'm assuming it might be a carrier or sub or whatever, or another DD or cruiser. Then you smoke up. You throw sap shells, and that's where the things are even funnier, okay? So you basically throw sap shells, 765k sap DPM, and you have two models. You have two types. One type will give you 34mm sap penetration, which means if you want to become a nightmare for a cruiser that has 30mm of plating, and you smoke up and he's perma-spotted and he's broadside, you will eat him alive. Austin will do the same thing. Don't get me wrong. Austin will do the same thing. But Barbiano can smoke up, okay? Austin might need to use the islands. Barbio can literally smoke up. You have a 59.4 seconds. That's a lot of time. And if he does not have a radar, well, he's completely screwed. This sap DPM is just not going to be a joke. You will eat half of his HP once he's trying to turn out and run away. And you have the speed boost. You have 15% speed boost. You have 41.6 knots of base speed, and you can get it up to, I think, 47 knots. So you can see, like, it's really, really fun. Oh my god. Okay, and well, if you want to farm battleships that are not having 32mm plating, you basically use the standard F key, not the alternative fire, and then you will use this sap DPM. And imagine you just farm the superstructure and you will get that taka 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 taka. Oh my god, it's crazy fun. Okay, you have you for a destroyer have like some of the highest HP for a destroyer. Now there are some destroyers that have more HP with the heals, but again, you don't have a citadel, even though you have light cruiser sort of DPM. And if you can catch a DD off guard, if you literally can find out a DD, and he did a stupid mistake, does not have a smoke, perma-spotted by something, and you are close, you will eat him alive like crazy. That's where you can take them down, but you need the support. And that's where it just sucks. It does not have any good maneuverability whatsoever. It does not have a good concealment whatsoever. It does not have a tool like a radar or something to spot the DDs. So in cap contesting, you will be bad. In damage farming, you will be stupidly good. But in carrying games, you will be stupidly bad as well. Because sometimes you can farm damage and can win the games for the team. But sometimes if there are destroyers, like the Smallland, like someone, and well, you basically taken a lot of damage, they can kill you. Okay? And you can smoke up and run away, but you want to use the smokes against farming ships. You want to farm the ships and you want to be using the smoke. So, yeah, it can be very tricky. The ship can be very tricky. The ship can be difficult, but it is stupid fun. You have to rely on spotting, man. You need the vision. You need support. If you get the support in Barbiano, Barbiano is just barbaric. Barbiano is literally barbaric in just farming damage. But you need support. If you can't have support, you will be feeling helpless. You will be so fucking helpless. You will regret sometimes playing that ship, sometimes in the randoms. But you get those opportunities. Like in the case of Austin, it's stupidly fun. It can get away with many problems. With the smoke combo, it's amazing. And just remember, if you hate carriers, you're gonna be hating carriers more because they will make life horrendously hard. Okay, in the carrier games, the Barbiano might be kind of like this, from basically A tier to I think B tier. Because if the carriers screw you up, you will just feel helpless. Okay, it's gonna go good. It's not gonna be excellent then. So ask yourself, if there's a carrier, and pray that he won't spot and farm you, then you will do good job. Okay, then you can do farming. But if he does come up to you and he's like, bro, I'm not gonna let you do that, what you're trying to do with the smoke. I mean, you can smoke up. That's definitely there. But once your smoke runs out and the carrier spots you and you are in a very vulnerable position, your 37,400 HP, that's gonna just go like in a click. Absolutely crazy, bad experience against carriers. So ask yourself, against carriers, it's gonna be there. But overall, A tier, the most unique, fun DD you can get. I tell you, it's for those moments in the randoms where you will just laugh. Okay, you will laugh when you are farming ships. Okay, it's just for that. It can go stupidly, absurdly broken once you have all the tools that is favoring you, but it will be terrible. It's like a feast and famine. Okay, so ask yourself, is it worth it? You want to get a fun ship, not necessarily a carry ship? then it's a great ship. Honestly, very fun for me in randoms. Alright, so the next ship is going to be another submarine, and that is going to be the American Gato. Now, I used to say Gato is really good, okay? In fact, it's kind of like the destroyer version of a submarine, okay? And I will explain why I say this, but in my opinion, I will put the Gato below Archerfish. Archerfish is definitely stronger. It's an excellent ship in randoms. Gato is great. It's good, but let me explain the reasons why it is that good that it cannot go above the Archerfish or equivalent to the Archerfish. Let's talk about it. So first of all, Gato does not get any heals whatsoever. The survivability is not exactly at all even close to the Archerfish. If you look at the HP, it's 21,000, pretty much the same, but you don't have 3 heals, which gives 15,000 extra HP, and you have only 4 DCP. So that is already a sort of a balanced version of Archerfish, even though its hull looks very similar. It's kind of like the Archerfish in many ways, but with that less survivability. But you get hydrophone in return, which is 9 kilometer, which is again very good. You get to know a lot of ships within your vicinity, and you will be able to protect yourself against DDs, because you can just use the hydro and get the spotting. Like, great, okay? And then you also have the submarine surveillance, pretty much the same. Archerfish, Gato both have 6 kilometer of detection, nothing special. And you have enhanced rudder gears, which again, it's a very weird, sort of niche, sort of consumable that I'm not a big fan of. There are consumables like the extra battery, reserve battery unit, which again straight up better. There are reload boosters on submarine. There are airstrikes as gimmick. This one gotten a bit meh, okay? At that time when they have released the Gato, it was the start of the submarines, okay? We just saw some new submarines, and that's why they come with sort of the balanced gimmicks. I think this is a very balanced gimmick. This is not like crazy F-key shenanigans, airstrikes, like high damage torpedo homing like the I-56-44. It's nothing like that. It's just like you have diving plane shift time by minus 20% and maximum dive and ascent speed by plus 20%. So you just go up and down relatively quickly. So you can just dodge maybe ASW strikes quickly, and you go down to the maximum depth as fast as possible. So you dodge those ASW strikes, and that's it, okay? Which is again, compared to the many other gimmicks, not that great. And that's why the newer submarines kind of power creeping the old submarines. I believe that. So I think that Gato is also the victim of this, and Archerfish is also sort of the victim of this, okay? And now we have the Italian DDs that coming up with exhaust smoke. What are the I would say weed that they are smoking, man. What Wargaming is trying, coming up with these exhaust smoke things, and you're getting this? So yeah, that's why it's not that great in terms of the gimmick. But you get probably the most disgusting torpedoes. We have 22k alternative torpedoes, okay? So they don't home. You kind of think like destroyer when you play Gato, okay? But you can't go into the maximum depth. You have 22k worth of torpedo damage, 16.5 kilometer of range like gearing. So yeah, you throw torpedoes, 6 of them, quickly. You have great DPM for that. You have 4 torpedoes as well. So you basically throw any ship that pushes, you throw these tops, you deal massive damage. You have a very high chance of flood. You have a very high chance of dealing a lot of damage. So that is the gameplay of Gato. You have the homing tops, but they are very sort of short range in terms of the take on that you can do against ships. It's only 6 kilometers. That's what I would like to talk about, okay? You have these homing that are just not that great. They're like, you can take down DDs with them, okay? If they are like trying to push you hard, you ping them, and it's still going to be very difficult. And we have now the homing tops on Seal, okay? The submarine that you can literally get for doubloons that have like 14k torpedo damage, homing tops, okay? And it has only 6 kilometers. Meanwhile, I think it has 13 kilometers. Seal has 13 kilometers of range. So that is telling you a lot that the Gato is not that interesting compared to the many other newer subs. But regardless, this gimmick alone is kind of unique. But the problem with this thing is that even though you do a lot of damage, look at the reaction time. It's 10.2 seconds, okay? And that's where the problem lies. If you are dropping cruisers, this reaction time is very high, okay? And they actually have a very high chance of dodging these devastating tops, okay? Meanwhile, battleships will still be vulnerable, but they still also get 10.2 seconds of reaction time, which some battleships can still maneuver, and some battleships can hydro as well. So yeah, the reaction time is not exactly that great. I mean, the good reaction time that I say for torpedoes, it's going to be between 7 and 8 seconds. So it is higher than that. So yeah, they can be, not easy to land because they can mitigate. The enemy battleship, they basically look at the tops very quickly. And well, especially if they have the vigilant skill, like in this one, that increases the torpedo acquisition range, it's just going to make the reaction time even higher. So yeah, you ask yourself, Gato is not that. Like, it's a good submarine, don't get me wrong, but it's not exactly going to be like some of the best, okay? Archerfish is way better. Archerfish is more stronger with the homing. And concealment, even though it's basically the same, Archerfish and Gato both have almost same concealment. Underwater maneuvering is the same. Dive capacity, well, actually Archerfish has better, but you do have the dive capacity recharge rate significantly better, okay? You have 0.96 units per second reloading up. Meanwhile, Archerfish kind of has a bit of a struggle, okay? 0.16 unit, but you have a lot of dive capacity. So you ask yourself, even then, I will rate Gato not to be that great, okay? It started to get a bit old and not so bold. It's just decent submarine that I will say not to buy it, even though it's good. But you don't buy it, there are many other options. Especially if you didn't take on the Archerfish, I think you will get this first, and maybe you might think of Gato later on if you are a submarine player. So, it's a good ship, but Archerfish is better, and that's how I rate. Alright, so the next ship is going to be the French Tier 10 battleship this time, and that is going to be the Bourgogne. I used to rate it some of the best battleships that you can get. In 2018, I'm talking about at that time. So it's been a very long time. I think it's 2019, 2020 since the Bourgogne got released. So it's been many years since this ship got released. And then we have so many battleships that are just power creeping the hell out of these older ships, okay? So Bourgogne is not exactly what it used to be, okay? And now the power creep is there. Bourgogne is going to be the B tier. Some people will going to rate it excellent, but there are so many new battleships that are just designed and perform better, okay, compared to the Bourgogne. And I will explain the reasons why Bourgogne sort of, in this meta, felt a bit short, even though it's great. It's a great battleship. I like it. It's really, really powerful. But still, I will say that these are the reasons why. So, as you can see, this is Bourgogne, and we have 12 380mm guns, and the reload time is great. 24.6 seconds. The DPM, AB DPM, HE DPM is really nice. But, again, we have the battleships that are coming in the game getting more accurate. The reason? Well, look at the R.Lauria, okay? Another steel battleship. Battle cruiser dispersion. Look at the Mecklenburg. Battle cruiser dispersion with 16 guns, even though these are even less caliber. But again, I'm seeing the trend to be more accurate battleships. Back in the days when the Bourgogne gets released, okay, it has standard battleship dispersion with 1.8 Sigma, which even in 2026 is great. You still throw a lot of shells, but these are still 380mm guns. You cannot overmatch 27mm of cruisers. Even tier 8, tier 9 cruisers, they cannot get overmatched. Tier 10 cruisers that have 25mm of bow, you can certainly do damage and you can overmatch them. But against Des Moines, against Annapolis, against those ships that have 27mm of bow and 30mm side and deck, you will struggle, but then you have to switch to HE shells. So yeah, this is a bit of a pain point, first of all, for Bourgogne. The second pain point, just like I said, you don't have the accuracy as with today's standard of ships. Especially if we take a look at the ships like the Bungo, literally the Wisconsin. Look at the Wisconsin, better armor. Wisconsin does not get that armor, okay? As you can see, 32mm deck, side. This is all wrapped up in 32mm, and you have a big superstructure, and you have not a whole lot of, I would say, HP. It's 78,000, which again is good. I would say it's maybe average, because there are battleships that are having 90,000-ish, more than 90,000-ish HP. I mean, there's a very good reason why they have just buffed Republic like over and over again. They have buffed it from 2.0 to 2.1 Sigma, and you have still the overmatch of 30 millimeter on cruisers, and then you have also the leg mod, which Bourgogne cannot get, right? So I mean, the leg mod of the Republic makes it such that you get a bit of a fire and flood damage, but you will have more DPM, and the Republic throw more powerful AP shells, more penetration. Bourgogne does not have the penetration either. So as you can see, you throw a lot of shells in Republic. You throw a lot of shells on Bourgogne. There's no doubt about that. You have a lot of guns. You have a lot of, I would say, good DPM thanks to you having the reload booster, which again is a very unique thing. Republic does not have it. But if you take a look at the penetration, I mean, we have the ships like the Willem De Eereste. We have the ship like the Incomparable. They have like better penetration. Like especially Willem De Eereste, 555 millimeter of AP penetration. Bourgogne definitely lags. Republic has 562 millimeter at 18 kilometer. So yeah, lack of accuracy. Willem De Eereste has 2.1 Sigma. Okay, if I can show you the main battery, you can see 2.1 Sigma. Incomparable 2.0 Sigma. So we're getting more accurate battleships. Bourgogne is lacking. Even Republic gets the buff from 2.0 to 2.1, and that's where I just don't felt great about it. But even though it's not, I'm not gonna say it's a shotgun. It is not a shotgun. The 1.8 Sigma is great. The shell velocity of the Bourgogne is great. You have something that there are no other battleship that used to get. Main battery reload booster. This definitely still do such a great job, especially I would say in the ranked, because if you have 4 reload boosters, this is great. But remember, we used to have 5 main battery load boosters. There was a time when the Bourgogne gets 5 main battery load boosters before the captain skills rework, if I'm not wrong. But after the captain skills rework, we only now have 4, because they have changed the superintendent. There is no superintendent now. That basically increased the consumables by +1. Now you can't use it. You will increase the heals with the help of this one. So that also kind of makes it sad. You used to get 5, now you get 4. You have the speed boost that used to get 4, but you get 3. So it's kind of like the indirect nerf, a very, very small nerf, but it is still very, I would say, noticeable nerf. Okay, and then you have the heals. You have, just like I said, not the great of the armor. Great torpedo protection though. 44% for a battleship is really, really good. Okay, but lack of overmatch, lack of penetration, lack of accuracy compared to the new battleships kind of makes it not exactly up to the meta. Still, it can do really well, okay? But you ask yourself, will you want to get a battleship that is decently accurate, not amazingly accurate, having the reload booster, having great speed? The speed is really, at that time when Bourgogne got released, okay, we used to think of Bourgogne speed to be amazing, nothing short of amazing, because you have the engine boost 15%, you have the 33.6 knots of speed, and at that time Bourgogne is one of the fastest battleships. And now we have battleships like Incomparable. Now we have battleships like Thor. So meta has changed a lot. The speed gimmick that the Bourgogne used to have, now it's not king anymore. There are so many other battleships that have a lot higher speed. Okay? So, I mean, it can still go faster, don't get me wrong. With the Philippe Bonio, it can go more than 40 knots with the help of 2 million potential damage if it tanks. But still, it's lacking. The meta, shifting. Great ship, but armor, it's not that great, okay? Armor, it's actually weaker. There are battleships, overmatching battleships coming more. There are now Hanover, there's Shikishima, there's Satsuma. In randoms, you will be facing super ships. In ranked, you might not, but in randoms, it's going to be more a super ships fest. So that's where getting overmatched by Shikishima, Satsumas, Yamatos, in comps, it will make Bourgogne life really hard. I'm not joking. You will take 20k salvos from that. So yeah, the armor layout, the HE shells that anyone can throw at you, and you have low HP, and you don't have any cooldown time boost like the Ohio, for example, it kind of sucks. And even though it can burst and take down cruisers, do very, very good damage to light and heavy cruiser with the help of reload booster, and even can smash battleships, do 20-20k volleys, with the help of reload booster, the survivability now and the accuracy now is not up to the point. And that's why for me, Bourgogne is a great ship. Maybe I can put it, I would say A- tier, maybe in the middle. But for randoms, I might put it here. Maybe in the ranked, I might can go for excellent. But this is exactly what I think Bourgogne is for randoms. B tier, good ship, but the meta has changed a lot. The newer ships just taking up very nicely the places. So yeah, ask yourself, will you take Bourgogne? I would say it's great, but there are many good options. Alright, so the next ship is going to be now an aircraft carrier. Probably one of my most played aircraft carrier in the game, believe it or not. So yeah, I got a lot of compliments, and I'm not saying compliments, you know what I meant. Compliments means, yeah, people don't like when I drop them with FDR. So I got a lot of hate, I would say. But FDR, I used to say in 2025 that it is actually broken. I call the FDR to be excellent, A tier. But in 2026, things have actually gotten changed, okay? I might, for myself, because I have mastered the art of playing FDR. I literally mastered the art of playing FDR. You can go and check out my videos, okay? To understand how this ship plays. For a newer player, this is a very difficult carrier to play. This is a very difficult mechanic to understand. And with the recent changes, okay, it's like the remote patrol fighters, okay? So, I mean, a CV can defend against the barrage of squadrons. FDR has huge squadrons. They have a lot of HP, but they are slow, okay? But the problem is, now with the patrol fighters that you can spawn remotely anywhere, FDR can be really mitigated hard by another aircraft carrier. Like other aircraft carrier can really shut down FDR gimmick, that he takes on isolated target and farm him, like nuke him to maybe less than half HP from full HP. This cannot be possible with this current situation of the fighter changes. A good CV player will stop FDR to make its play well. And that's why FDR actually shifted, in my opinion, from A tier excellent to B tier good. It's still good. It's still very difficult for some players, and I'm not lying. For some players, it might be even C tier. It might be even D tier. Yeah, because it requires a lot of practice. It requires a lot of skill. And if you don't have a good skill, you might think it is average. If you might not have understand the mechanics, it might be even D tier. You just hate it. So yeah, this can be a very complicated purchase. It is specifically for aircraft carrier player. If you are not an aircraft carrier player, please no, stop buying a steel aircraft carrier. This is terrible idea if you are a very seasonal player playing it in randoms. It's just a D tier for me, okay? But if you are a dedicated CV player, if you want to have the unique experience, and I will explain now in detail why FDR is good. Let me just explain it so that I can prove my point. So this is FDR. In terms of gimmicks, it is extremely powerful. You have bombers and torpedo bombers as the main gimmick, okay? These rockets are another reason why I just don't like FDR. These rockets are, I would say, terrible. They just don't perform really good. They perform half of the value that the torpedo bombers and bombers give. That tells you a lot of the story of rocket planes. They are really bad. They just do 50% in terms of efficiency. So they are not good. They are not worth it. Never use them. And that's one of the downside. Okay, that's why I cannot rate it excellent. But another problem is, just like I said, we have the introduction of patrol fighters, right? You have the patrol fighters that you can remotely put on any air. And FDR, since it does have a lot of attack flights, it wants to farm a single ship over and over and over again, and you have 25 seconds of delay time. So if you go and check out the FDR video of mine, maybe, you see when I drop the target, okay, you have 25 seconds of delay. That is a bit difficult to manage. The planes are extremely immaneuverable. They're very difficult to maneuver. They are so difficult to turn and dodge those flags. You will have a painful time. I mean, the skill wall is so high that, just like I said, it might be even an average carrier for you. So yeah, if you don't understand how to make FDR work, this is gonna be the most complicated and the most stupid, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be stupid purchase. So I will say, for powerhouse design wise, offensive side wise, it is, I would say, probably the best aircraft carrier in nuking down heavy cruisers and battleships. I think there's no one in the game that can just do so brutal. It's brutality. You can kill a battleship in 4 minutes. You can literally kill a battleship in 4 minutes, provided if the enemy CV does not hurt you by putting patrol fighters, provided the battleships, cruisers, they don't have fighter in their arsenal, right? I mean, they also have a fighter plane, right? So, for example, let me show you why I'm saying this. So Mecklenburg, for example, okay, you have the fighters. You can launch the fighters, and it shoot down 4 FDR planes, and this really cause a dent in the total squadron. Even though you have a lot of planes, you have a lot of HP, but those fighters, that any Mecklenburg, any other, I would say, ship, when it takes out, it will take down 4 of your fighters. Okay, it does not matter how tanky these planes are. The 4 fighters of Mecklenburg will take down 4 of your planes, even if they are Hakuryu planes that are very flimsy, even if they are FDR planes that are very tanky. So yeah, it kind of just destroys FDR gimmick. Okay, so with that presence, with the anti-CV sort of ships like the A6, for example, FDR has gotten not good. Remember, there's no A6 when FDR got released, but now we have A6 that are very, very precise, and they can just really hard counter. In fact, they can put the fighter on top of you. They can put the fighter and make your life hell. And that's why it's complicated. It's a difficult ship to play. And even though the tops hit hard, they are disgusting. The bombs are extremely disgusting. Really good fire chance, really good alpha. It's not for everyone. In fact, it's very, very niche. Very, very niche. I think maybe 5 to 10% of the players might understand this gameplay like I did. So overall, in my rating, the performance in terms of, I mean, go and check out. I still nuke ships. It's still a nuker. It does have a unique gimmick where you can turn your torpedoes 360 degrees. Fucking 360 degrees, 180 degrees, and you just do crazy. Okay? For that, FDR is great. Okay, go and check out the shenanigans. But so many weaknesses, so many fighters, patrol fighters, makes your life hell. And that's why it's just going to be B tier good. Because for me, it's good, okay? You might think of it as C tier. You might think of it as D tier. For you, it's basically this, but I can't rate it at, because the actual performance is actually this one. So yeah, it is what it is. B tier, good ship. Alright, so the next ship is going to be Incomparable. Now, I will simply give you a very good idea. Incomparable, if you ask me for ranked, this is going to be A tier. It's an excellent ship in ranked battles, okay? But because we are talking about randoms in 2026, I'm going to put the Incomparable to be B tier good. Now, there are some players who love Incomparable. They just love the overmatch. They love that it has a hydro. They love that it has super heal. They love that it can be stupidly good when just nuking ships. Broadside cruisers, 2 shells, and you do 40,000 damage with 2 of the AP shells. That is true. But for me, in my personal experience, the lack of range, and yes, you have a spotter plane, but the lack of range and the meta sometimes be when there are DDs, when there are aircraft carriers that can spot you and can cause issues, the Incomparable will suck. And let me just explain why. So let me explain why Incomparable is good. 508mm guns, they overmatch like 32mm of plating. So you can basically nuke any battleship if they are bowing. Okay, if they have 32mm plating, this is huge advantage. Okay, another huge advantage is the concealment. This is something that I love about the Incom. You can be as freaking stealthy, as good as 10.6km. But a lot of players like, okay, you can outspot now cruisers, which is great. The problem is, in the random battles, no matter how good your concealment is, if you don't have a radar to take down or at least counter DD, it can perma spot you. And if you caught off guard in Incomparable, again, this is my personal experience. Maybe some people be like, oh, I love the guns, and you just smash them. And I agree, the guns are stupidly good. They are really good. They're reliable. They are actually very accurate. 2.0 Sigma battle cruiser dispersion is no joke. The alpha is no joke. You have 19.5 K alpha, 7.4 K HE alpha, 55% fire chance. You can also set fires, but the AP is the main game of the Incom, and the stealthy gameplay is the main game of Incom. Even then, problem is in randoms. If you get spotted, you will be spotted permanently. If the DD wants to spot you, it will spot you permanently, and then this concealment gimmick will be a pain. Okay, then this is gonna be very much mitigated. The problem now is that you don't tend to show broadside, because in terms of broadsiding, Incomparable is some of the weakest ships in the game. Okay, the armor plating is not great. Look at this, 279 millimeter, and then you have basically, let me just show you this, you have 51 millimeter of slope deck armor. Okay, it's like armor deck slope. So yeah, it's not tanky. Let's be real here. Even Manfred von Richthofen AP rockets, believe it or not, they can actually penetrate Citadel. Yes, if you don't know this, now you know. Okay, it's definitely very vulnerable if you broadside. But if you can mitigate this problem, if you can mitigate the Citadel, it is one of the tankiest battleships again, regardless. Look at this, 51 millimeter deck. This is basically, you can really compare it with German battleships. You have 102 millimeter side armor, 152 millimeter side armor. So this is really good. You do have the vulnerable bow for 25 millimeter, which again kind of makes you pissed, because you're gonna be overmatched. So it's definitely a problem. But you can overmatch back in return, because you overmatch 32 millimeter, they overmatch you 25 millimeter. So yeah, you have to play carefully, more of a kiting, and sometimes you can push and can use drops, and sometimes you can push and you can use hydro. And then this vulnerable broadside, and you have to broadside for a very long time, makes Incomparable, for me, a bit of a difficult experience. But it does great. The HP also is a problem. It has some of these lowest HP, honestly, for tier 10. 70,000 base, 70,500 base, and you have like 73,000 total, and you have 14% torpedo protection, and your turning circle, it's difficult, man. 11.6 kilometer of turning circle. Sorry, not 11, 1.1 kilometer. Okay, this is gonna make sure that if you turn out and you are perma spotted, you're gonna get the same treatment as you take treatments from, for example, the Komissar. Same problem. You broadside, you're gonna be punished heavily, and also that this super heal gimmick will be completely face down. You have a super heal, it heals 50% of the penetration damage, but the moment you take Citadels, this gimmick gets completely annihilated, because you cannot heal back Citadel damage. That's only 10%. Okay, even though the speed is great, you can get up to 40 knots, believe it or not, if you use the brisk, and I will highly recommend that you use the brisk. Okay, you can get very fast, very sneaky, and pretty good with the guns. Like, guns are really, really good. But the armor, broadside, you Citadeled pretty hard, but maybe even the battleships like Mecklenburg can Citadel. You so gotta be careful, okay? This is where it struggles, and with this very long ass ship, you still tend to eat top, sadly. Even though you have a hydro, believe it or not, which is great. And another limiting factor is the range. Ask yourself, will you be comfortable using 17.6 kilometer range? Because sometimes if a DD perma spots you, you can't push in and then try to farm battleships. You have to be kited because a DD is perma spotting you. Okay, and this 17.6 kilometer of range is not good enough. And then spotting aircraft does mitigate. Okay, it increased the range to 20 kilometers. There is no doubt, but still, it's gonna be a rough experience. So ask yourself, can you mitigate these problems? Mitigate the broadside, which is again the most painful part. If you can't, this ship is not for you. But great experience in terms of unique firepower, overmatching capabilities, and sneaky assassinations that you can do. You can literally assassin cruisers. You're literally a British assassin. I'm not gonna say incomparable. You are an assassin, but you have weaknesses, and if you won't mitigate those, you will. Oh, sorry guys, my mic slightly go down. But if you don't mitigate those, you will be punished. So for some people, it might be excellent. For me, because of the broadside and the turning circle and the lack of range, I will say good. It's really good with accuracy, but those weaknesses comes in to make it, at least for me, B tier. But in ranked battles, I will put it here, 100%, without a doubt. Okay, now we have actually one of the newest cruisers. It's actually released in 2026, believe it or not. Pioneer, the Commonwealth cruiser. And I'm gonna put it, honestly, I might put it here, but a couple of reasons. Again, I'm not gonna be that optimistic for this. I have a good feeling while playing the Pioneer, but I still believe that because of some issues, I can't rate it to be the A tier. It's not excellent, but I might say it's gonna be A minus, 100%. It might be A minus for sure. I might put it like above B tier, and might put it below A tier because it's that good, but not excellent. And let me explain the reasons why. Now, Pioneer is a powerful package. There is no doubt about that. Okay, this cruiser has very good counters against specific ships. Now let's talk about what sort of counters. Okay, if we take a look at the equipments, this is where you see the main gimmicks. Okay, you have the smoke, crawling smoke, so you can stay at 1/4 of the speed and can move your ship around, which again is great thing. But the problem is that you don't have hydroacoustic surge, but you have a surveillance radar. And if you have, if you really hate subs, you have a submarine surveillance. Okay, the problem is with the Pioneer that the smoke and HE spam, which again it's a HE spammer. It has 16 guns. It can do brilliant. Okay, you have 14.5 kilometer of range. Okay, and on paper it looks really good. You smoke up, you spam, and you farm. But the problem is, just like I said, you don't have a hydro. You don't have enough range. For some reason, what I really felt playing Pioneer, that it does have a bit worse range. It should have maybe gotten up to 16.1, 16.2 kilometer, which you can do it, but you have to use a range mod. But then the shell velocity isn't exactly that great that you want to be just shooting at 16.1 kilometers. So the shell velocity is okay. And your DPM is just okay. And the problem with the Pioneer is that if you want to use this back gun, okay, which gives it a total DPM of 293,000, which looks great. Just like I said, you have 30 millimeter of HE pen, which looks great as well. But to use it, you have to show full, almost full broadside. And that's where, if you just take out this turret into account, you have 3 turrets left. And this will reduce your DPM by a good 25% less, which means that it is not exactly gonna be good when you want to basically farm the damage. So you have to really ask yourself, if you want to broadside, you must smoke up. You must smoke up, because if you broadside and if you are playing open water, you are going to get depth struck. Okay, you do have a citadel, very vulnerable citadel in fact. Okay, if you take a look at the citadel, it's wide. It is definitely slightly above waterline, but it is wide. It's a big long ass citadel. Okay, so that's where it struggles a bit. Okay, you spam HE, you can counter DDs really well. You have only 26 seconds of action time though, so it's a bit limited, but still it works brilliantly well. And it's, I think, if I rate Pioneer against DDs and subs, let me just maybe rate it that way first, then I will just get to the conclusion. So against DDs, I might put it A tier. It's excellent counter against destroyers. You can smoke up and you can just do 12 kilometer radar, and you can stealth radar. That will be a nightmare for a DD because your concealment is good. You have a 12 kilometer of radar. Okay, and if you want to take on submarines, okay, this is where it gets completely broken. Submarines, if they look at the Pioneer in the matchmaking, if you're playing it in randoms and there are 2 subs, they have to be very careful of Pioneer. And there is a reason, there's a big reason why. So here's the funny part. The thing about the subs, if they want to spot you directly, okay, they have to be at surface. So you have 9.9 kilometer of concealment. So if a submarine wants to spot you, they are at surface, they spot you, you can radar and catch them at the surface. And guess what? If you catch them with the radar, you have, look at the airstrikes, okay? You have the ASW strikes, okay? and you have 11 kilometer of range. That is plenty of range once you radar, okay? So once you catch the submarine, you drop those airstrikes, you have 3 freaking airstrikes, okay? So that's gonna be nightmare for a submarine to deal with, okay? And for example, okay, let's say that the submarine's trying to spot you at periscope depth. It has to come closer, as close to 6.7 kilometer, because detection by air and I think from the periscope depth is basically the same. So submarine has to, I think, if I'm not wrong, okay, you can go and check out the numbers, but it is gonna be like 6.7 kilometers. So submarine can spot you at periscope. So if it does not want to get radar and it wants to directly spot you, it will spot you at 6.7 kilometer. And guess what? He is within your submarine surveillance. Oh my god. So you can catch that fucker at 6.7 kilometer completely off guard while he's in periscope depth, and if he mistakenly push and go into the maximum depth, you can actually go and can drop these ASW strikes no matter what. Okay, and if he gets into the surface, you still have a radar, and if he gets to the surface, you shoot the guns and you can radar him. So it gets to the periscope, back to the surface, you use the submarine surveillance and back radar. I mean, this he catch in the in this stupid thing. It's stupid mechanic for him. It's gonna be stupid for him. Don't get me wrong, okay? But he deserves it because he pushed you too hard. So if he does that, he's gonna get nuked. More than half of his HP. Maybe he might die. He might get depth struck, especially if there are other battleships that are noticing. So for submarine, it's broken. It's broken against submarines, okay? Meanwhile, your HP is decent. If you want to farm battleships, smoke does really well. But the problem is that you have to show a lot of broadside. And the good part again of the Pioneer, and that makes it pretty cool, is that you can use all the 3 guns and you can stay bowing like this, okay? So what can happen? You can be slightly tankier, okay? You have actually 30mm plating, but you still have a lot of armor plating here. Sorry, a lot of superstructure, so you can still be found, but you can actually bow in like this, and you can use all 3 guns, not the back of the gun, and that's great against heavy cruisers. So for example, if the Stalingrad comes in and wants to overmatch you, he cannot. You have 25mm deck and side. So against heavy cruisers like the Lartigue, maybe the like the Marseille, they're just gonna be look at you and they can't do anything, okay? In terms of DPM, you will out DPM them. They cannot overmatch you because you are not super light, but you are a light cruiser regardless. So this is an advantage to have 3 guns on front. But broadsiding is must if you want to shoot the back gun, and it can be pretty tricky because sometimes you want to be speed juking shells. You want to be getting out of the torpedoes because you can't spot the tops. You have to literally get out of your crawling smoke because you have to increase the speed more than 1/4. And what really happens that you accidentally speed and come out of the smoke and you are detected, and then you try to slow down but you don't slow down greatly. Like your deacceleration is so bad that if you want to get into the smoke, you have to spot for some good time. This loop of you getting spotted when you accelerate and deaccelerate especially, and I'm telling you this, you can go and check out the videos. If you can understand this problem, this can be major for some players, okay? And then using the last gun can be tricky, makes it difficult shit. This is one of the biggest reasons why I cannot put it excellent, because Svea is very I would say as close in terms of performing, in terms of radaring, in terms of farming with smoke, is as close as the Pioneer is as close as Svea. But it's not Svea. Svea has amazing firing angles. Svea has a short smokes, which I will prefer it over the crawling smokes. It can be tricky. This smoke can go very, very tricky. You have the torpedoes. And now let's talk about the torpedo, which is again making it very downside-ish, okay? You have a lot of tops, but you have only 6 kilometer of tops. Not even 10 kilometer, bro. These are not good tops. It sucks. They're really bad. Because they can't make your life easy if anyone pushes you. It has to either push you so crazy aggressive, then you can use the tops, or either you are suiciding and pushing on him to use the tops. So they are very questionable at best. And the anti-defense is also very questionable. Svea has at least short smokes, and well, if you use the smokes against carrier, guess what? You will be you will stick to your smoke for the rest of 1 minute because of the carrier. A freaking carrier make you smoke up, whereas in the case of Svea, you smoke up and then you can smoke again later on because your smoke is a very short in terms of cooldown time. So that's like a couple of things that makes Pioneer not that great. But against DDs and submarines, especially submarines, it's nightmarish. Against cruisers and battleships, I might even prefer Svea more. Maybe against aircraft carriers, I might prefer Svea more. So yeah, Pioneers are great, but for me, it's a good ship. It's not excellent. I will rate Svea in this tier list excellent. I will rate Pioneer to be good. Definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. Difficult ship. 100% difficult ship to play. Not for everyone, but can perform really well in the experienced cruiser hands. Alright, so next ship. Probably one of my favorite German battleships in the game. Mecklenburg, excellent. I love it. You can say it's a bias. You can say I just overrating it. Mecklenburg, I just don't care. I think Mecklenburg is one of the best German battleship you get. I take it over any freaking German battleship. I take it over Schlieffen. I take it over Kurfürst every single time, even if it does not have the overmatch. And that's where I really think Mecklenburg like a German Bourgogne, but better without reload booster, obviously. Let me just explain why I rate Mecklenburg to be that good. Now, here it is, the Mecklenburg. I love this ship because it does have 16 guns. They're not gonna overmatch anything. These are battle cruiser guns, okay? But they are accurate. And what happens when you have accuracy with 16 guns with battle cruiser dispersion and 2.05 Sigma is devastating, to say the least. Devastating. Because if you catch cruisers broadsiding, off guard, you nuke, you dev strike them. It's a dev strike machine against cruisers, light cruise, especially light cruisers. You throw so many shells, you 100%. No, I'm not gonna say 100%. There's always a probability that you can get screwed by RNG for some reason. But there's a very high chance that you dev strike Minotaurs. Okay, you dev strike Smolensks, you dev strike any cruiser. I would say even heavy cruisers are going to take the pain with 16 shells, and with that reload time of 22.9 seconds, that is amazing. Really good range at 22 kilometers. You have 30% fire chance, okay, 30% fire chance, and you are that accurate, okay. That is really fantastic, okay. I can't show you the fire chance now. I can. Let me just do this, and you can see this is 30% fire chance, throwing 60 shells. Accuracy is something that I wish German battleships get in 2026, and they have given the concept of Mecklenburg. And that's why I just rated over Schlieffen. I rated over Kurfürst. Accuracy, I love it. HEDPM, I love it. It's still not the best in terms of alpha, only 3.6k, but you look at the shell volume and look at the DPM, that is still over 150,000. And I tell you, I still do more than 10k and set multiple fires every freaking single salvo. And if that's not enough, the great part of the Mecklenburg, since its reload time is so good, you use the Gunther Lutens and you can proc this main battery loader. That's super amazing. You get the Mecklenburg reload time to 20 or 19 seconds. 19 seconds, and you're shooting 16 guns, and you have main battery loader because that gets activated, okay. And if that's not enough accuracy, if that's accuracy not enough, you still have secondaries. The most prominent feature of German battleships is secondaries, and it does have it. And the good part of the German ships, German battleships, is that, well, you still get 12.5 kilometer of range. Very good secondary range, and you can pretty much go for the aiming system to tighten the dispersion still by 7%, which again, you want to improve the accuracy, you can still do it, while you can still have at least 11 kilometer of range. Let me just show you that real quick. You still have 11 kilometer of range and 32 millimeter of HE pen on secondaries. You penetrate EDs, you penetrate cruisers, offensively, anything pushes you, aggressively, anything pushes you, your secondaries will be handy. Your guns will be so handy. You are super powerful. Okay, you want to be chunking 20k plus salvos if they broadside onto their upper belts. Mecklenburg can do that. Very, very consistent. Not necessarily citadel them, but it can do that. Want to brawl and do the secondaries? Want to use the torpedoes at 6 kilometer? Want to counter aircraft carriers? Mecklenburg is one of the battleships that can really make CV life hell. And I'm not joking when I'm saying this, because it has fighters and it does have defensive air fire. So you can use it, maybe defensive air fire, and maybe later on you can use the fighter. It makes life hell because fighters counter full squadrons, okay? So they limit your strike capabilities. Fighters does that. And defensive air fire just increase the continuous air damage. And if they eat flags, which I think majority of the CV players I have seen, at least in randoms does, it's extremely valuable. So now you have the anti-CV sort of build, okay? You have decent anti-defense because of this overall. You have decent maneuverability at 32.5 knots. You have, I would say, amazing guns, good brawling torpedoes. If someone get close to 6 kilometer, you can basically send the torps and you can actually do well. And with the 85,000 HP, which again is slightly onto the lower side, but way better than Bourgogne. I'm not going to say way better, but better than Bourgogne, way better than Incom. And you have a protected turtleback armor. You don't get citadel. Okay? You have 50mm deck inside. Yes, your superstructure is big and massive, but that's fine. That's fine. I mean, you will share a lot of HE shells. All you need to make sure is to just juke those light cruiser shells, and you will be doing fine. The only problem is, with my build, I can't use fire prevention. This is a bit of a gamble that I did, that I want to use the secondaries and the main guns at sometimes. If I want to push, then I use these. If I want to kite away, I use my guns. And it just perfectly aligned with my playstyle. And it just do every single game amazing. Amazing and amazing. Mecklenburg is amazing. I'm telling you, this is gonna be my solid pick. I love this ship from the bottom of my heart. I thank Wargaming that they have added the ship. The only thing that is lacking, that's not gonna make it overpowered, is the cooldown time on heals. If it does have maybe a gimmick of F key, like the Valparaiso, for example. I'm not giving Wargaming ideas, but if it does have those, if it does have boosted survivability with the low cooldown time on heals, which again I felt that it's still not up to this meta. This meta is 60 seconds. You need 60 seconds of cooldown time. Mecklenburg has 80 seconds, which is standard. Battleships usually get this. But if it does 60 seconds, or you have the F key to basically mitigate or have the defensive capability, this becomes overpowered. Simple as that. And you don't have a hydro. This also is a downside. Okay, so ask yourself, and honestly, it's best investment. In fact, it's 90,000 HP if I'm not wrong. 90,000 HP. Oh, yeah. With the Charlie Kilo flag, you have 90,000 HP. So that's really, really good. It's definitely worth it, in my opinion. 100% for randoms. And even the ranked is going to be great. So it's A tier. Might maybe slightly go up, but okay, I have to be a bit optimistic. Not everyone will play that way. And yes, another thing that just limits it to be, not to make it overpowered, it's terrible firing angles, okay? I mitigate the firing angles, but you have to show broadside. A lot of broadside. If you can mitigate that broadsiding problem, you shoot all the guns and you turn out quickly. Then you shoot the guns, then you turn out quickly, so that you stay angled quickly. If you can do this, then this problem is not a concern. But yeah, you have to broadside and you have to basically show quite a bit. So this can be a weakness, 100%. So yeah. But Mecklenburg is an A tier excellent ship, regardless. Now, Ragnar De Eereste. This is an Italian battleship, which by the way they have given for coal or also for a grind in the Lunar New Year event 2026. Now I'm not sure how many of you guys have grinded out, but I have explained so much thoroughly that you should get this ship. But if you want to get it for steel, now if you're not able to save the steel, I think this ship is still great. It's a B tier ship, okay? Might rate it B+, but I definitely realized over time that maybe I might rate it, I would say maybe slightly better than Bourgogne. That's my take, because it does have overmatch, it does have a good accuracy, but you have only 8 guns. but you have good armor, okay? But you do not get that black hole armor. I mean, you in Bourgogne, you won't be getting citadeled, okay? You get massive damage, but Lauria is a bit of a ship that get punished hard if you're broadside. Let me explain why I think it's a B tier. I don't think it to be excellent. B plus, I would say, not A tier for sure. So Ruggiero di Lauria is basically about the guns. 457mm guns is something on an Italian battleship is very new when it got released. And with that accuracy, battlecruiser dispersion 1.8 sigma. As you can see, the moment you have a battleship that has really good accuracy and then you get 457s, it makes very good sense and it becomes very powerful at the same time. So SAP DPM, AP, if you use any of these shell types, especially SAP, it really does insane damage. But you only have 8 shells to throw. But with the changes to the Colombo coming in the next patch, Lauria might get more value now. 100% more value. Because you can stay at long ranges and you can still have the accuracy retained. Whereas Colombo, it's not going to be the same. You have to get closer. You have to be more riskier. Lauria does not need to be. You still retain the battlecruiser dispersion, great range, and you do have the spotter plane. Meanwhile, Colombo also not going to have a spotting aircraft. That is significant. And you have very unique armor plating for its tier. You have 120mm deck and also some side plating, which makes it very resistant in kiting, and then you will shatter a lot of shells. And then you have a very small superstructure. So that's why Lauria can be very tanky. But on the other hand, Lauria can be very squishy, because if you broadside, this is whole 457mm of citadel armor, and then this also, by the way, this also is an armor belt. So if anyone knows you're broadsiding here, this is huge. It's kind of like the Minotaur in terms of this citadel armor. Anyone can smash you and just dev strike you. Make sure not to show broadside, okay? If you can't show broadside, which again can be very difficult in randoms, it's gonna be great ship. I love the Mecklenburg, but I also love the Lauria, okay? But not as good as Mecklenburg in my opinion. And the reason is pretty simple. Mecklenburg can counter aircraft carriers. It cannot, okay? Mecklenburg can throw a lot of shells and can set fires. Lauria cannot. I mean, if someone is like fully angered and has a very small superstructure, like the Yamato for example, it will be very difficult because you don't have a lot of shells to throw. So it can be a bit difficult, even with SAP shells, to deal more than 10k. I have felt in my experience. Meanwhile, Mecklenburg can switch to HE shells, set fires, and can still do 10k very, very consistent. And something that I really like about the Mecklenburg, Lauria can't. Accuracy sometimes trawl. The SAP shells are hard hitting, and you can get 15 to 20k salvos 100% very, very consistently, but sometimes the shell trawl. The vertical dispersion is not exactly that good, and sometimes you have to even precisely farm the superstructure. So if you hit here, maybe the side armor plating, maybe for example you're fighting Kremlin, he broadsiding, you want to hit at the superstructure but you miss, and a lot of shells hit onto its armor belt, which is very thick. So you will not going to get full penetration, you will get shatters. So yeah, these are the things that makes it a bit difficult sometimes to get really, really good consistent volleys. That's what I really realized playing Lauria. But great experience, great concealment, great speed. It's actually one of the fastest battleships base in terms of not having speed boost, which makes it really, really good. 40 knots of speed with the brisk. And if you want to get extra range, which I will highly recommend, you use the Luigi Sansonetti, you will get a kill and you will get that talent, which increase the range by plus 8% and makes the Lauria guns way more reliable. Okay, you basically improve the vertical dispersion if you get a kill. You can improve the vertical dispersion if you use the range mod, which again I can recommend as well. So because that's the big reason this Lauria guns become more consistent vertically. Vertical dispersion is the very, very key thing in the game. If you can improve it, and you can do this in Lauria with this captain and range mod, which I will recommend, makes Lauria great. So looks like excellent, but I don't like the weakness of this very vulnerable citadel. And yes, I mean still a bit weirdly squishy. I don't know. It looks very tanky, but for me the experience is a bit weird. Okay, it can work brilliantly. I felt Lauria good played Lauria to be excellent ship, but I don't know. I have a bias against, I would say, compared to the Mecklenburg. And honestly, I will kind of rate it B tier, maybe B plus tier. Okay, I didn't put the B plus tier, but I rated that because of it. All right, so the next ship is going to be again an aircraft carrier. So this is a second carrier after FDR that got released for steel ship, and Shinano is, in my opinion, one of the best carriers that you can play in this game. It is ST. It's a broken ship, guys. Come on. Shinano is amazing. Even after the nerf, I still believe that it is broken. Fundamentally broken, that they cannot change. Okay? It's too tanky for a carrier. Like, stupidly tanky for a carrier. Got a smoke for a carrier. Have AP skip bombers that no carrier gets. Has torpedoes that are so good that dev strike DDs. And you can use the bombs against DDs. And can be a cruiser nightmare, because light cruisers and heavy cruisers that eat skip bombs. You do citadel damage, you do torpedoes so well. They are undodgeable tops. They are sort of undodgeable skip bomb. They have improved pen angles. Shinano is the definition of powerhouse and broken ship at the same time. Now, first of all, the great point of the Shinano, and that makes it very unique. It has 55% of torpedo protection for an aircraft carrier. Oh my god, this is Yamato hull, believe it or not. This is a Yamato hull. This is a converted Yamato. Okay, so Shinano is exactly that. 75,000 HP, and you have Graf Zeppelin dispersion. You have some of the most accurate secondaries on an aircraft carrier, and some of the very tankiest armor for an aircraft carrier. 75mm of deck, 30mm hanger plating. So if there's a Fontana, if there's a Conqueror, if there's a Bourgogne, if there's a Mecklenburg even, Willem De Eereste, if they shoot you and they hit at the side plating while angled, they will get bounces. And if the Des Moines thinking, or any cruiser like Stalingrad thinking that he can overmatch the bow, it's basically 27mm from the bow, from the stern. This makes it full tank package. And if that's not enough, you have smokes. You have smokes. Core smoke curtain generator. Oh my god. You can smoke yourself. And if you're playing in division, you can smoke your teammate. And if that's not enough, you have amazing, very player friendly, very player friendly. If you find CV gameplay for some reason interesting, this is a very not so difficult carrier to play. And the reason is pretty simple. If you look at the torpedo bombers, you have evasive maneuvers. Okay? This reduces the incoming damage by 70% for 12 seconds. That's the same case with the AP skip bombs. And if you find difficult in taking on DDs, they make it super easy that instead of using rockets, you use the HE bombs. And they are very devastating on DDs. You can get 2 bombs, and you can get 3 bombs, sometimes very lucky to get 4 bombs. Nuking their HP from 2, 5, or even 8,000. With the HE bombs. They are easy. You can set fires on BBs. You can set permanent flood on with the help of top bombers, and you have evasive maneuvers on both squadrons, making it super tanky, even though they don't have a lot of HP, but they're still very good because you have this power. Okay, and you have the engine boost that's gonna last for 15 seconds. Okay, this makes it very good to retain speed over the long distances. So if you find that your engine boost is running out, you use the engine boost. It already has 15 seconds of action time, so for 15 seconds you will keep having the highest speed, and then you will have a full engine boost back as well because you use the consumable. Great package, absolutely powerhouse. Secondaries, you can take down DDs. You smoke up and you can take down DDs, and if you spot them with torpedo bombers, you can take down DDs. You use the torpedo bombers. The torpedo bombers are so good. They're so tight. There are 3 of them. They're so tight that if you drop onto the broadside, one of the torpedo will guarantee hit. And they have very low reaction time. Like, it's crazy good. Cruisers can dodge. Battleships have impossible time dodging these 3 tops. And they deal 6.5k damage. And the AP skip bombs deal massive damage to battleships. They are the bane of aircraft carriers. You want to be sniping CVs, you want to be picking Shinano. Meanwhile, if they want to snipe you back, you have a smoke. Meanwhile, if they want to snipe you back, you have armored plating. If they shoot at this armor plating, a lot of rockets will shatter. If they do anything, you smoke up. If you want to use AP, skip bombs on them, their fighters cannot tag. The fighters, the patrol fighters that are of the carriers itself, they help you to defend against enemy CVs. But guess what happens? The skip bombers work in such a way that you can bypass those planes. And then, guess what happens? You will get 100% 2 attack flights with skip bombs and citadeling the crap out of aircraft carriers. And you can just go and check out my several videos. I've sniped the hell out of aircraft carriers. It's broken. It's disgusting for what it does. It is a nightmare for artillery with the torpedo bombers and the HE bombers. And it's also a nightmare for cruisers and battleships. It can take on anything, period. It has very little to no weakness. Its aircraft preparation time is even funnier. Like really good aircraft preparation time. 58 seconds? 49 seconds. That's crazy, okay? Like this ship is a beast. It's overpowered, it's broken, and sadly, even after the nerf, it's still broken. It's fundamentally overpowered. So I don't think so Shinano is gonna get, I would say, nerf at all, because it's that good. I mean, how they gonna nerf it more? They make it obsoletely terrible, but they can't. Otherwise, no one will buy the steel ship. So it's stay in this way, and you can get it, this broken carrier. Okay, now let's take a look at British light cruiser, the Plymouth. My non-interested ship in the game. I have zero interest playing it in randoms. Maybe I could play it in ranked, maybe, but I might play Minotaur. I might play the newest cruiser, which is a Pioneer. 100% I play Pioneer over the Plymouth. With the introduction of Pioneer and then this Svea, the reason to buy Plymouth gets worse and worse and worse, and it's gotten more worse. Okay, it's not a bad cruiser again. No steel ship is bad, but for randoms there are far better options. And in my opinion, I will put the Plymouth into the C tier. I just believe that it is just average. Okay, it does everything above average, but because there are some cruisers like the Svea and the Pioneer that does so good some specific things that any above average thing that it does, it just does not feel like above average. It just feels like meh, average. It's just really that way. Now there it is, the Plymouth. Now what it does do? Well, it does do good. It does have 16 guns. You have 8 on front, 8 on back. But here's the tricky part. A very tricky part of the Plymouth is, in order to use the half DPM, unlike the Pioneer in this case at least can use 3 guns. So it uses 75% of the DPM. In the case of Plymouth, if you want to be open water, okay, you cannot. You have to show basically almost all the broadside, because it really focuses you super hard. In order to use to get all the DPM, you have to smoke up. This, in my opinion, is the biggest problem. Sometimes you cannot smoke up. Sometimes the smoke cannot be very useful because the battleship is not in a trap zone. It's not around 12 to 13 kilometers or something where it is very farmable. Sometimes you don't get the situation. Sometimes you get the situation where you have to wait to smoke up. And even though you have 4 smokes and you have the radar and you have the hydro, but the thing is that the Pioneer, the newest ship, does basically everything except just better without the hydro. Okay, because if you smoke up and you screw up, for example, unlike Svea, you have to leave the smoke and you have to waste a lot of time to get your smoke back up. In the case of Pioneer, well, you have the crawling smoke, so you can crawl with your smoke, so it does not matter. Okay, yes, you will be spotted for some time, but you can get into the smoke altogether. Meanwhile, in the case of the Plymouth, if you have to leave the smoke, you force leave the smoke for some reason, well, it's painful. And then if you want to use the guns, it's even more painful because you have to show full broadside to use all the guns. This is the most tricky part. And Pioneer has 16 guns, but it does have HE. Plymouth has 16 guns, but it has only AP. But it does have special ballistics and special sort of gimmicks like the Minotaur. So Minotaur levels of AP, which is again good in penetration, DDs and all that stuff. But then Pioneer does use HE and set fires and has 11% fire chance. But, I mean, you ask yourself, would you take Plymouth? 47,000 HP. Pioneer has 54,000 HP. Plymouth still gets 16mm of bow. Yes, you have 90mm the deck and side, but that is still worse than Pioneer. Again, the problem is with the introduction of Pioneer. The problem is with the introduction of Svea, which again, like it's weirdly more tankier than anything for a light cruiser, like 30mm deck and side. The Plymouth just gonna get overmatched, okay? Like Stalingrad cannot, but Amiral Lartigue can. If I'm not, I think the Marseille can. Amiral Lartigue can also. I think it can overmatch 23mm of plating since it does have 330mm guns. So some heavy cruisers can also still overmatch this plating. Unlike Pioneer, that still has 30mm deck and 25mm side. And on top of that, you still have a very vulnerable citadel. You cannot shoot open water. This is a death sentence unless you are using the islands. Look at this. You still have a very large citadel like the Pioneer, but I mean, you cannot bow in, okay, to shoot like Pioneer. You have to, you basically sacrifice so much for this, okay? And you have less HP, you have terrible drop protection, you have a Hydro, which is great. You have a Hydro, but, and you have a very long duration of radar, but that is 9 km radar, and you have 9.2 km detection, which looks great. Pioneer can stealth radar, and I prefer stealth radar over standard radar, 100%. I mean, you can spot even like outside 9 km, 10 km, 11 km of range in the case of the Pioneer, like in this case. So Plymouth definitely sort of gotten worse. So I just don't like it. Okay, simple as that. I just feel like it's more of a pain to buy and just play the way in ranked. Sorry, in the randoms. Maybe in the ranked battles it's a bit better. 100%. It might go into the B tier, into the good tier because you have the radar Hydro. You can cast DDs, you can do the shenanigans, you can farm damage, but it's not as effective as Svea. Svea is so specialized, so good. Pioneer is specialized, Pioneer is good. Lack of good survivability, lack of good firing angles, it just makes it pain. It's a painful ship. I will 100% avoid if I would be the new player. I will either pick Svea, which is probably my top pick, and I will pick Pioneer 100% over the Plymouth. So for me, Plymouth just does not add up much value, okay? You're better off spending steel on these two cruisers, like the Svea or the Pioneer than this one, okay? As simple as that. Okay, so the next ship is going to be Ragnar. Now, Ragnar, honestly, in randoms, I might avoid it, sadly. It does have a great features, not gonna lie. Taking on DDs is something that you can do incredibly well. But the problem is, there are a lot of ships in randoms, okay? In ranked, I have a very complete other opinion for this ship, okay? But for randoms, Ragnar is slightly onto not the best of the side, okay? I might not even rate it excellent. And for me, it's gonna be B tier. It's a good ship. It's in fact sometimes be very, very good, okay? Carrying in randoms is possible, but it is just straight up better in ranked. I might put it into the A tier for ranked. But for randoms, it's B tier. Very good ship, and let me explain the reason why. Now Ragnar can be incredibly strong. Sorry guys, sometimes because I've been just speaking English for a very, very long time. Sometimes my throat gets tired, so apologies for this. But what I'm saying that it is really, really good against taking down DDs. But that's where its main strength lies. Fighting DDs, taking them down, using the radar, because the radar is 30 seconds. And on top of that, you can have up to 7.5 kilometer of concealment, which means any DD like the Shima, any DD like the Jaeger, anything that spots you, it gets spotted back in return with 30 seconds of radar, and you farm it. Meanwhile, he cannot farm you because you have 31,500 HP, you have, if he shoots HE, he won't be even realizing that you have 25mm armor thickness on the side. Even this part is also 25mm. So they sometimes mess up and shoot HE and they will get shatters. So light cruisers, they will get shatters. Destroyers, they will get shatters. So you can farm him extremely well, but with not super offensive DPM. The DPM is one of the biggest downside of Ragnar, but taking on DDs even with DPM with this armor is entirely possible with this HP, and especially that you do have the heals, okay? With 7.5km concealment, which I didn't build it for, but you can and you should to counter DDs, okay? It makes a good platform, especially in ranked. In ranked, it's gonna do incredibly well. In fact, it's gonna be excellent DD for ranked. But for randoms, the DPM, lack of it, and especially as you can see, it's only 176,000 HE DPM. I can improve it with the help of improved AR with the Jersey Swirsky. I can improve it with the help of Fearless Brawler. Your DPM will still go around 200k. And that's still gonna be a bit struggle. And yes, you have amazing accuracy, don't get me wrong. You have special destroyer dispersion. Special destroyer dispersion means, go and check out the Elbing. Elbing dispersion is stupidly pinpoint accurate. So you shoot the shells and you nail those shells onto the area where you aimed at. That's how special the dispersion gets. 65 meters at 15.6 kilometer. Yeah, that is what you get on Ragnar. But the problem is you still don't have enough DPM for it. And sometimes it's very difficult because you are a sluggish, heavy destroyer. It's kind of like a heavy cruiser. If you look at the maneuverability, turn a circle, it's like the heavy cruiser, and even rudder shift is not like the destroyers. And your speed boost when it is not there. You have emergency engine power, which is like super powerful, but you want to be using it against fighting cruisers. But if you're fighting cruisers without emergency engine power, which is like the very important gimmick, you are very squishy and you will take a lot of damage because speed juking is very limited and you are a big ship. So yeah, it's going to be very painful against fighting cruisers, and you don't have torpedoes. Remember, it's not small end, and especially if you are if you have a small end, buying Ragnar does not make any sense whatsoever. Small end does everything but better. But you do have 3 heals. It does help a lot with Ragnar's 31,500 HP, but speed is the biggest problem. Once you have no emergency engine power, by the way, which is amazing, you will get incredible speed. Your speed juking is super good, and then you will shine. But once it runs out, it struggles. And dare to fight against light cruisers will be even more pain. The more shells that the cruiser can shoot at you without you having the engine boost turned on, the more pain you will have. So because of this DPM, you cannot really farm down battleships incredibly well. And even though you have 30mm HE penetration against cruisers and light cruisers, which will give you direct damage, its DPM is still a problem, okay? So lack of tops definitely felt in as a problem, and your squishiness, maneuverability, lack of maneuverability is another problem without the speed boost when you don't have. So because of this, I can't put it into the excellent tier. But the lesser the ships and the more the spotting value increases, especially in the ranked battles, Ragnar gets significantly stronger. And in ranked, it is definitely a terrifying thing to deal with, especially if you are in any other destroyer. Absolutely. And if you don't like aircraft carriers and if you want to shoot down planes, Ragnar is actually very strong anti-CV sort of ship. As you can see, 93 anti-defense rating, great continuous damage, provided if a CV decided to push into your 4 km of aura, which you can simply do by just turning off your AA. So if you have your AA turned off, once he pushes within your 4 km of range, you turn on the AA and let this damage, continuous damage, shoot down a lot of planes, and it will do really good, okay? But still, you will be perma spotted since you don't have the smoke, so it's still a problem for the Ragnar. So yeah, ask yourself. But if you ask me, I will say it's a good ship. In fact, sometimes be very great, but in randoms, it's not as useful compared to the ranked. So for me, it's a very good ship. B tier will be my rating. Now, let's take a look at the Shikishima, the Yamato class battleship, the brother, tier 10 brother of Satsuma. 510mm guns, 6 of them, and you have it on this Yamato class hull. Shikishima is a great ship, okay? But Shikishima is not a unique ship. The thing is, if you want to buy a ship specifically to earn credits and want to experience the Satsuma guns, so if you just play Satsuma, you're getting a tier 10 version of Satsuma with increased credit earnings per battle. You can buy Shikishima, and that's it. And with better entire defense, I would say, compared to the Yamato, you can play Shikishima, and that's it. Like, it's not coming up with very special gimmick. It does not have any F key. It has good all, great guns, and you have great penetration. Actually, it's very, very good in penetration numbers. But still, these are 6 of them, and it's not unique experience. You will get a very simple, same experience when you play the Satsuma, and that's why I can put it into the B tier. But because of lack of experience, lack of uniqueness, okay, I might put it from B tier to the C tier, okay, just because there is a Satsuma that exists. You're not getting anything from it. You're not, except you play the Satsuma and you can get that really good experience, and especially with the F key, you will get the best accurate experience. Shikishima is just a battleship that you play and you don't lose credits per battle. It's as simple as that, okay? Overmatch, great guns, just like I said, great anti-defense for Yamato class hull. It's still gonna get farmed by CV, but it is still good compared to the all Yamato class hulls. Like, even the Satsuma does not have as good anti-defense as Shikishima, if I'm not wrong, okay? And well, it is what it is. You have decent rudder shift time. I mean, basically the same thing. I can't really say that you should buy. Seriously, I mean, it's a ship that does not give you a great experience, a unique experience. So why buy Shikishima, okay? And you simply play the Satsuma. And that's why, because of this, I'm rating average. Performance-wise, is a great ship. It's not excellent, because still have the weaknesses, the cheek problem. The Yamato does have the cheek problem. Shikishima also does have it. Everything that Yamato faces, Shikishima with these new guns faces. Okay? That's why I'm not a big fan of Shikishima, okay? And that's why, instead of B tier good, for randoms even, I'm just gonna put it C tier. Even in ranked battles, why picking up a Shikishima? It's not a unique experience. Go buy Incomparable. Go buy even Bourgogne. You have a reload booster even though you do have less caliber guns. Buy Mecklenburg, okay? There's some great battleships to pick first before even thinking of Shikishima. That's why. Don't pick it, okay? Alright, so the next ship is going to be the Stalingrad. One of my favorite cruisers. Just like I love Mecklenburg, I love Stalingrad. I have great place in my heart for Stalingrad, and obviously I'm going to say that A tier, excellent. It's definitely really, really good ship for what it does. Even though it can be tricky to play, but honestly, the weaknesses are still not that big. And in ranked battles, it can be even better, because you have to fight less ships. But Stalingrad, let me just explain why I think it's very, very strong ship. Excellent A tier ship, at least for me. The reason why I personally love Stalingrad, even in 2026, are the guns. These guns are some of the most broken element that I have seen in the game. And it's still not changed. They somehow, surprisingly, cannot power creep these guns. Believe it or not, that's the case. They power crept Bourgogne to some extent. They power crept so many ships, but they cannot power creep Stalingrad guns. Yes, they have power creep the armor. They have indirectly nerfed the armor overall, because now you don't have fire prevention. You take 60 seconds of fire, you have a big superstructure, but even then your armor is amazing. 50mm deck inside, and then this thick armor belt, which is a citadel, no doubt. It still makes it very tanky, okay? In kiting situations, I felt Stalingrad to be some of the tankiest cruisers, without a shadow of doubt. Survivability is some of the highest, 76,000, but you know, if you stay bow in. And yes, the play style of Stalingrad can be very, I would say, stationary, very monotonous. It's very weird, slow paced play style. Yes, you can kite and farm damage, which I will highly recommend, but bowing in is a gamble in Stalingrad. A lot of players think I have a lot of HP, I have a lot of tankiness, let's bow in and just stay here. If you stay open water and cannot disengage behind the island and stay farmed by someone, well, Stalingrad will die as fast as maybe a light cruiser. It burns down quickly. It does not have really, I would say, sort of a protection against fires, and you can take 3 fires. And yes, the Kuznetsov, actually one of the biggest reasons why I rate it excellent. Maybe not for the Kuznetsov, because it has saved me so many times in Stalin. I might put it to maybe B+, but honestly, still I will rate because of the guns. Excellent ship. The guns are broken. The guns are just battleship nuker. It nukes battleships. It nukes cruisers extremely hard. It nukes light cruisers. You death strike light cruisers. You have some of the highest sigma value in the game. You have battle cruiser dispersion. Your accuracy can be extremely insane. Your shell velocity is some of the most disgusting. The shell time to reach to the target at 20 km is blazing fast. You cannot miss on a ship that is at even 20 kilometers. If you just really aim terribly, then you can do that. But I mean, these are Stalinium shells. They hit hard. AP alpha is great. HE alpha is amazing. 33% fire chance. You got all the tools. And you like battleship gameplay on this cruiser hull. You have something that I wish that battleships get. It's a wish. I don't want battleships get radar, because now we have the Thor have a radar. Now we have another battleship, Turget Race, have a radar, which again makes it very bad for the meta, making cruisers' life even questionable. Like, why play cruisers if I can play battleship with bigger guns with radar? So Stalingrad is still one of the concepts that, given the status of battleship destructive guns, it destructs cruiser with its guns and still have the radar. So it can take on battleships, it can take on anything, it can take on destroyer with really good accuracy, you can do a lot of damage, and you have a radar for this. You have defensive AA fire for this, and you have good heals. So this ship, in my opinion, you will get no experience, I would say, in any ship other than Stalingrad. The guns is the biggest reason. If you play with these guns, you will love these guns. These guns are destructive, terrifying, crazy powerful. You have to play it to find out. And even if you say there's a petro in my port, Stalingrad guns still have better penetration. Stalingrad guns have actually better AP ricochet angles, believe it or not. Better improved ricochet angles. It has reduced arming threshold. They tend to be very good even if the broadside cruiser is at closer ranges, like for example Smolensk. Many fast shell velocity guns will overpen because the fuse didn't arm. Battleship, because of reduced arming threshold and the shiny special Selenium ballistics, it will Citadel Smolensk, it will Death Strike Colbert, Smolensk, it will eat Minotaurs alive, it will eat even battleships alive if they broadside. Because you will just quickly do like 10k, 15k, 20k even onto the upper belt. If the accuracy does come in with 2.65 sigma, it just is, it's like the better version of Slava. It's as simple as that, with a carry hard button with the radar. Okay, if not for the radar, I mean, radar does make it excellent because now you can spot DDs. Okay, but without the radar, I might still put it to be very good. Okay, but it is not overpowered. It used to be overpowered, but long days of Stalingrad, now it's not. Okay, so that is what it is. Maneuverability is definitely very bad. Again, broadsiding, you will be broadsiding for a long time if you do that. Your concealment will make your life hard. So you stay in kiting and bow in once you know what you are doing. And you will love the guns. These are amazing. You can go and check out the videos. You will not regret buying Stalingrad. Excellent ship, even in 2026. I literally forgot to mention one thing, which is really, really absurd. Okay, it's very funny, but absurd, that Stalingrad penetration and Bourgogne penetration is actually very same. 305mm guns, 380mm guns, penetration is still same. Yeah. You buy Stalingrad, you will not regret it. You actually citadel battleships. Honestly, you will citadel battleships very comfortably at around 10-12 kilometers. So yeah, if they're broadside, yeah, just watch what's gonna happen, okay? So that is what it is about. All right, so the next ship, another ship that I absolutely love. Very strong, very powerful, and very smart sort of design, okay? And I'm talking about Svea. Svea is another excellent ship. If I love the heavy cruiser version, which is Stalingrad, then I love the light cruiser version of, I'm not going to say Stalingrad, but it is a light cruiser version in terms of doing excellent performance, as good as Stalingrad. So why Svea? Svea, it is really having those special tools, like very smart tools, okay? They somehow managed to make cruisers so unique, and you can make it very, I would say, smart moves that I love Svea. Now, let's talk about it. First of all, smart move, armor layout. You can open water, fight 406mm guns or below, and can stay in kiting, and you don't need to smoke up. You can simply use amazing speed boosts that you do have a lot of them, and you have actually better action time than even Ragnar. Yes, Ragnar, I have to compare it with Ragnar because it kind of also does sort of same things, but this is a destroyer. It's still a very not so meaningful comparison, but in its gun performance point of view, it still kind of very much relates with Ragnar, and that's why I have to sort of compare it with Ragnar. Okay, engine boost with this armor plating, which is like straight up better. Okay, you tank, you bounce, you're not gonna get overmatched by those battleships, and you still retain 40,000 HP. That's great. Okay, now you can always say it does have worse DPM than Pioneer, and I agree. It does have worse DPM than Pioneer, but it does have a destroyer dispersion, okay? And then it does have better tankiness, okay? And it does have better smokes, and it does have a radar which just quickly comes, even though it's gonna be lasting for 16.5 seconds. I haven't even talked about the biggest weakness of Pioneer. My god, how can I forget that? It does have a consumable preparation time. For a cruiser, that is an entirely new concept. Consumable preparation time for radar and submarine surveillance. So it takes a time before they load up. That's not the case for Svea. And this is really making life hard once you are playing a bit aggressive at the start of the game. Again, this is a big weakness that is the reason why Pioneer might not be at excellent ship. I think I just missed this out completely. But yes, the players who are kind of comparing it with Svea, now you know why Pioneer is slightly onto the lower compared to the Svea. So Svea has amazing firing angles. Pioneer does not. Svea has the speed boost to speed juke the shells and has some of the best smokes in the game, and you have 7 of them. You have radars to counter DDs many times, and you have 4 heals, and you have 40,000 HP, great concealment at 9.3, and great speed with the help of speed boost, and overall okay anti-defense, although I think CVs will still love to drop you because anti-defense is just slightly, I'm not going to say slightly above average, but you can shoot down planes, but you don't expect a lot. Maybe you cannot really compare it with Austin. Austin is just straight up better. It does have a defensive fire. It doesn't. However, one thing that I do like, that Svea can radar submarines if they are at surface, and then you can use ASW strikes. This is very useful. So it's not exactly like Pioneer broken, but it is very strong because you in a light cruiser still have ASW strikes that you can launch from the air, which is really important fighting against submarines. And with this fire chance and with overall tools, and you also have the torpedoes that are pretty handy to get floods. They don't do a lot of damage, but they do flood, and they can be very meaningful to get permanent fires or permanent floods. Very useful. I would say compare with the Pioneer's 16 torpedoes, 8 on each side, I prefer Svea tops because they are usable. Pioneer tops are not usable at all. What the hell? Okay, that's a big reason. And even if you mess up with the smoke, you can just run away, use the speed boost, and then smoke up later. It's great. Like I really say, Svea, it's like the guerrilla warfare machine. It really can surprise an opponent. It can really screw the opponent because it does speed juke you. It does have the speed boost for it. It does have smokes for it. It does have torpedoes to get 1 or 2 clip to basically make you flood and then can shoot you. Even though the DPM is not as good as Pioneer, it's still very good, better than Pioneer, because it does not have the problem of deceleration. It does not have the problem of crawl, because crawling smoke can be sometimes a miserable thing. Especially, you do not want to use the crawling smoke. The battleship that you farm is dead in half of your consumable action time. So you use the smoke for half the duration. The battleship is dead. Now, where you will be wasting half of your crawling smoke? Well, you will be moving and not doing anything with it. Whereas Svea, you don't need to. You just have a very short duration, and that's going to be good enough in many, many, many situations. Okay? And then you just farm, kite, and if you want to disengage, you smoke up and kite. It's the best tool. Speed boost, even better. Great ship. My God, I just love Svea. Okay? It's not going to be up like to Smolensk. It's not Smolensk. It's not Bremen. It's not anything like that. The DPM is not even close to those ships. But it's consistent, and it does have a very good playmaking opportunities in randoms, and in ranked it's even better. Okay? It's even better. That's why Svea is definitely excellent ship. Absolutely worth it to get for steel. For sure, in my opinion. I love it. You will love it too. You will love the firing angles, the consistency, and if you know the cruiser gameplay, light cruiser gameplay, you will love Svea. Alright, so the next ship is going to be a very, 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 like, I don't know. What is this? A Vallejo. It's a tier 9 ship, and honestly, it does not have any, I would say, place to make worth it in randoms. It's not. It's a weird ship. It's not bad. The guns are great, okay? It's a light cruiser platform. The guns are great. Let me explain why. That I just don't like it. But, just don't buy it, man. Why would you pick the only tier 9 steel ship? Yes, if it is a Valparaiso, oh yes, okay. I might put it here, but it's not Valparaiso, okay? Let me explain why. So as you can see, this is Vallejo. HP pool is not bad. It's actually great. Your DPM is not bad. It's actually great. You have 270,000 HE DPM with 10 guns. You're kinda the booster at tier 9, but you don't have the biggest thing that can make you feel great, okay, in carrying games. Even in the randoms, maybe you can always argue that you don't need radar in the randoms, okay? In ranked, okay, sure, you need a radar. So why you are still making it super bad? Why you are saying it's D tier? It's not a D tier. But the thing is, there are so many good ships, so many good battleships, tier 10 cruisers, tier 10 destroyers. Why will you pick Vallejo first? The Vallejo should be your last ship to pick because it's not unique. You get this light cruiser experience in Seattle. Okay, you get this light cruiser experience in many, many cruisers. You're getting that same thing. Maybe you can always argue that the shell velocity is great. Yes, it does have better shell velocity. It does come up with a spotter plane, which is rapid takeoff spotter, which basically increase the firing range for 20% for a good long duration. And you can really argue these sort of things, but it's still not unique. The same problem that I have with the Shikishima, the same problem that I have with the Vallejo. Why will you pick this first when there are better alternate options? And how do you feel getting fun from it? Because it's not unique. It's not unique at all. You want to be shooting down planes? There are many good options, okay? Defensive A, Vallejo is great, okay? If you want to shoot down carrier planes, if you want to take anti-CV build, Vallejo can actually be a very, very good option. But that's basically it. Okay, the speed is also decent, the concealment is also good, but still, I just don't see any reason to buy it over any other steel ship. maybe buy the other steel ships first, then maybe we will talk about the Vallejo, okay? The simple, honest reason why Vallejo you should not take it, it does not give Austin experience, okay? Austin still give really good experience. Unique experience is something that you don't get on many ships in the game. In fact, there's no one that can give that sort of experience. Same is the case with the Barbiano. Barbiano does not have a radar. It will have a hard time against DDs unless the DD is suicidal, which it will do crazy on to him. But if he doesn't, it will struggle. And the Vallejo is the same case. If the DD spots you, you will struggle. You farm well, but then you can do the same thing with many other ships, okay? So Lartigue still gives you a unique experience. Pioneer still gives you a different experience if you want to take down submarines, for example. So every ship at this steel ships tier list has its role. This does not define any specific role that makes it good. That's why don't buy it, okay? It's not necessarily bad. I tell you, it might be a good ship. It's actually a good ship, but it is not unique. Just like the Shikishima. Shikishima is also a good ship, but it is not unique. Alright, so the next ship, oh boy, Willem De Eereste. The Dutch battleship straight goes to A tier and even A plus tier. Okay, now why Willem De Eereste gets this, I would say, value? And the reason is pretty simple. Amazing guns, great concealment, and airstrikes that are just, I would say, broken. They are broken. To be honest, they are broken, especially if you aim well. Especially the moment you make the airstrikes good, initial experience, if you don't have Willem De Eereste, initial experience might be that you might think it's a good ship. Okay? You might hit airstrikes here and there, and you can do some good damage. Then you practiced it, and then you just started to nuke battleships. You nuke Ohios, you nuke Montanas, you nuke Petros, and then you realize the capability of airstrikes with fires that you can do with the guns that do insanity at broadsides. You realize, oh, it's excellent. And then you get another level. If you just started to just perfectly align the bombs, airstrikes, and just do it very, 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 very consistently, it sort of gets to the broken. It's not going to exactly go to the broken because the armor is the limiting factor, but it starts to get to the broken in terms of offensive capability. Defensive-wise, it's not. Let me explain why. So another battleship that is very unique, and that's good part because that's what makes it very interesting, and it's very strong at the same time. So you get 9 guns, 2.1 sigma, battleship dispersion, but 2.1 sigma is excellent for battleship. And with that, your accuracy and your HE shells, and with the AP performance that you get with the Conrad Helfrich. This is an additional firepower performance improvement that you can do with the Conrad Helfrich. This one makes it even powerful than it currently is. So Willem De Eereste guns are no joke. If you want to do this combo, and that's what makes it extremely stupid, honestly, and makes it actually somehow broken, is if you are shooting HE shells and you set fires, and if the battleship is within 15 kilometers, and then you send air strikes, okay? Air strikes that are just goddamn lethal. They are super destructive. 46 millimeter of HE pen, 8.5k alpha, 48% fire chance. I'm telling you, you will get 2 fires. Permanent fires onto that poor battleship, especially 3 fires if additionally he does biggest mistake not using fire prevention. Now, that's where Willem De Eereste can be super devastating and just burn battleships down. And if HE shells is not your cup of tea, you switch to HE and then you deliver 457 millimeter penetration level of guns. They have unusually very high penetration for this caliber, like unusually high. It's so good that you can compare it with 457 millimeter battleship. You can compare it with Republic, which is very excellent in penetration, AP penetration, and that does the same exact thing in Willem De Eereste. Really, really good guns and really, really good airstrikes. Okay, and there's additional thing, which kind of a downside, you can say that. Well, you have the range for the submarines up to 15 kilometer. Okay, you have the depth charge airstrike that you can use against subs, and have 15 kilometer of range, but then you are sacrificing HE strikes, okay? Because this is a dilemma. Either you use these HE strikes from that same consumable. They basically both share the same consumable. Either you use that single attack flight with the HE bombs, or either you can use that same attack flight for the ASW, okay? And you will use that single charge. But it is 15 kilometer range, so that's better to fight against subs, increased range, but you are sharing. So this is a dilemma. So that is a downside, but it's a beast, it's a monster. It damages, it farm damages like no one. It is so devastating, and your concealment makes it so good. The only thing that the Willem De Eereste has as a weakness, it is really a selfish ship. I can't say even Mecklenburg is a selfish ship, because you can actually push and still can do incredibly well. Meanwhile, if you do the same thing in Willem De Eereste, you have all over the place 32mm. You do get the speed boost, but this is for disengagement rather than engagement. The speed boost is for to just make you run away from positions where you are compromised or where you are permanently spotted and you want to kite. And that's why the Willem De Eereste is a very squishy battleship. In fact, if we take a look at the Citadel, this is very exposed, very big. So you get punished like crazy. Like, you don't do this. Broadsiding, if that is something that you have as an addiction, you will hate Willem De Eereste because it will get punished hard. But if you have the addiction to farm damage, this ship is like nothing else. It just does devastating with the AP, devastating with the HE, and airstrikes does it even further. So absolutely worth it. Speed boost make the speed up to 37 knots with the brisk, which I will highly recommend. You can get it to around, I think, 39 knots of speed. So it is very fast because of this. So absolutely worth it. Conrad Helfrich makes the alpha even better with the guns. Like, your AP alpha improves, your HE alpha improves, your airstrikes improve, your reload time of the guns will improve. Airstrike and the main battery reload time if you get the Wither, which is incredibly easy in Conrad Helfrich. If you just farm some HE shells with the help of HE shells and farm some fire damage, you can do this very easily. Trigger this and you will have even better reload time from 24 to maybe you get to 20 seconds, which again is absolutely bonkers. This ship is stupidly powerful, very, very strong in its current state. Armor and the Citadel is the weakness, and if you can mitigate it, which again you have to be a selfish kiter rather than pusher, you will see incredible results. Okay, finally the last steel ship, and that is going to be Z42. Very strong ship. I personally will rate it excellent. It's a great ship. Okay, I might as well even rate it better than Ragnar. Ragnar actually can perform slightly better than Z42, 100%. Ragnar in ranked is better, I would say, than Z42, but Z42 in randoms is better than Ragnar. And the reason is pretty simple. As you can see, this is Z42, and the main feature that I love about the Z42 is that it same retains the short smokes that you find on Svea. Short smokes, great feature. Engine boost helps a lot in speed juking and just basically maneuver from here to there. And the biggest combo that makes it super goddamn powerful is the smoke hydro catch. Now, obviously there are exceptions. If there are radar cruisers and you are trying to use this gimmick against other destroyers, then you will get radar. There is Ragnar that can radar you. There are small line that can radar you. There are some counters to this smoke hydro gimmick. But if they can't, and majority of the ships can't, and usually in randoms they can't, usually, this will be so powerful. And if you smoke up and you radar, sorry, you hydro them, 6 kilometers of hydro, you catch the DD off guard, and somehow they are bowing, okay? So you shoot HE, which again is reasonable in its DPM. It's actually better than Ragnar, believe it or not, with 26mm of penetration. 5% chance, but still it's usable. But where it gets devastating absolutely devastating once you switch to AP and if the DD is broadside. This destroyer has so low caliber that it actually penetrate. Don't overpen, penetrate once you shoot AP, and I'm telling you, if there's a DD, that tends to show broadside. With you having 394k PDP, I'm telling you, it's gonna go even further. You can go up to 400k, okay? With the AR kicked in. You will full pen DDs. You will full pen Ragnars. You can full pen any DD that broadside. And you do 5k, 6k, 7k every 3.8 seconds with 10 guns. A lot of guns, lower caliber, but you have improved HE pen because this is a German destroyer and you have like AP penetration onto broadside DDs, which DDs don't have usually, okay? They need to have a special AP pen, okay? They need to have something like reduced arming threshold or something like short fuse so they actually arm onto the broadside DDs. It does not require it because the caliber is so low. So that's why it's incredibly destructive. It will eat while they will just look at your face and have to run away because of your smoke hydro combo. Now with this you can also farm battleships, cruisers, and smoke is super handy. And tops are super handy unlike Ragnar. And they are not anything special, but they just work and does your job, okay? These torpedoes are very, very average, okay? But they are still 8 tops, and that's what really matters sometimes to basically deal good damage. Sometimes you cannot even farm in smoke. There are some situations, but you still smoke, and you have short smokes, which are some of the best smokes in the game. Great speed with the engine boost, you will get up to 40 knots, and great concealment, especially that you have 6 km of hydro. This whole combination makes it hard counter against DDs that cannot radar you back. If there's no Z-52, if there's no other DD that can radar you or hydro you, and especially if there is Sherman or Vampire 2 that having 5 km of hydro, you can catch hard and you can counter them unless they push into you hard, okay, to counter you. And you can catch Marceaus, you can catch many DDs. The small end, Ragnar, those will be exceptions. But most of the time you will be devastating on their broadside when you shoot AP. And then rest of the things against battleships, pretty typical by the way. Shoot AP onto the upper belt of battleships and you will do very, very surprisingly good damage. Because AP is amazing, okay? So this ship is very strong, okay? Not necessarily great in terms of HP, but you have Gunther Luthans and you do get the reload time buff once you have 140 shells. Which again, very easy on this destroyer, and you can easily get 3 spotting ribbons, which again give you extra 3000 HP, which increase the HP from 24,000 to 27,000. Absolutely worth it with Gunther Luthans. 100% A tier, excellent ship for me. It's a very good ship. It can carry well. It can be amazing in divisions. It can spot. It can farm. It is very strong. And I will be rating it better than Ragnar, especially in randoms. In ranked, it's a complete different story. And I will be making a video for the ranked in later part of this year. So, thank you guys for watching. It's a long video, but I have detailed it enough to give you a good explanation of basically what are these ships capable of. Hopefully, it will, I would say, satisfy you. And now you will be able to get your favorite ship. This, I will rate them accordingly for randoms. In ranked, there will be slight changes, 100% for sure. But these ships are absolutely worth it. I enjoy them thoroughly and you will love them as well. Especially the A tier, S tier is some of the ships that you pick first. Okay? Then B tiers are also amazing. I will say Austin can be amazing as well. Very, very fun. But man, Barbiano can be excellent. Okay, Barbiano, it's not a carry ship for some reason. I still feel it's super, super fun. Like super amazing. Okay, Ragnar can be great, but I will prefer maybe the Svea first. Z-52 is great. Okay, then and I will prefer Z-52 over the Ragnar. Amiral Lartigue is great, but I will prefer the Komissar over the Lartigue. So pick your poison. All ships are great except these ones. Shikishima does not give any experience that is new. Plymouth, I mean, there is Svea, there is Pioneer. The reason of buying Plymouth gets significantly reduced. Then you have the Vallejo. does not bring anything to the table. And that's where we have all the ships. Subs are great. Archerfish, if you are a submarine player enjoyer, absolutely worth it for that. Gato is, I would say, your next pick if you are a submarine player. It's a unique ship for basically throwing shimakaze tops, you can say. So that's basically it is. I'm just giving a bit of summary. Okay, all ships are great, but these ships are better, and you should pick them first. That is what I would say. Thank you guys for watching. It's a long video. I hope you get the point. Subscribe if you haven't. And it's taken me a long ass time. But I will do that for you guys. So take care. And if you can subscribe my Patreon, by the way, that will be even better. Till then, peace out.